Look at the polling data, and there are numbers that just jump off the screen at you, and this is one of those. Because just take a look here. MAGA GOP view of Trump. Approve 100%. 100%. If you are a member of MAGA and the GOP, you approve of Donald John Trump. 0% say that they disapprove. You don't have to be a mathematical genius to know you can't go higher than 100%. He is the 1972 Miami Dolphins.
Welcome to the next generation of warfare, psychological warfare. In modern conflict, the mind is a potent weapon. Discover General Michael T. Flynn's groundbreaking guide, The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. Unlock tactics, strategies, and the mindset to navigate this cognitive battlefield that we all find ourselves in. Equip yourself against manipulation and emerge unscathed. Unleash your potential. Order now.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the AlphaWarrior Show. This is part deuce of a conversation with just Alpha. Everything changes. Welcome back, you guys. Today is March 18th, as I confirmed that on the calendar on my screen. And we will continue from yesterday's show. And I got a lot of your guys' feedback. I spent a lot of time reading a lot of the comments that you guys had, and you liked the earlier show. So I am going to make an earnest effort to shift Mondays and Tuesday shows to an earlier time frame. And who knows, maybe I get with the Colonel and it's something we can work out. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday will all be earlier shows. But as it looks, moving forward, we're looking at probably moving this to the 7:30 or 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. So again, appreciate all the feedback, and we'll give that a run for a few weeks, and we'll see how it goes. I'll tell you what, I do have a hell of a lot more energy at this time of the day as opposed to not. A lot of stuff popping off on social media. You saw and do me a favor, folks, while we're here, smash the thumb, hit the heart, share this out. Let's, if we can get half the audience we had yesterday, I'd be happy about that. And again, Rumble rants, I'll read those at the end of the show along with the super chats. But if any gifted subscriptions come in, I'll read those as I see them because those disappear pretty quick. But the beginning of the show, we showed the teaser. CNN of all places, talking about if you're MAGA GOP, 100% support behind President Trump. Pretty interesting statistic. If you've been anywhere near social media in the last 17 hours, I know everybody wants to probably talk Joe Kent tonight. And I do have a position on that as it stands. If you kind of seen me bounce around the virtual town halls of X, some of you already kind of got a taste of my perspective. But this show is part 2 from yesterday. So there's a sequence of things that we're going to cover. So maybe I cover that. We go into Joe Kent a little bit on Overwatch and the Guardian tomorrow, or maybe I do a special broadcast between now and the end of the week, or maybe we just save it for Monday. Kind of give us time to digest. Nonetheless, since it is important, what I will say, and it's going to play into the last portion of tonight's show, there's an active operation against the president to subvert. There's an active operation against the United States of America to subvert it. There's an active operation against MAGA to subvert it. Some of the people that are deploying this agenda is people we know that don't like us, the left, the deep state, the globalists. And we can roll with those punches. We expect it. But what I see having everybody very apprehensive and on edge right now, almost like this energy of uncertainty, is because a lot of this rhetoric is coming from faces you recognize and like, names you like, voices you respect. And I hate saying this, but I have to. I told you so. If you're new, that doesn't apply to you. But if you've been following me for at least a year, I've been saying this for about 2 years now, maybe a little bit longer. I said that I had recognized the patterns very early on, that there was an infiltration into our movement, into our country, and that was specifically going to target 2 communities, the Q community and the MAGA America First community. And there were some big names, and trust me, I'm going to remind them this week when I get on the horn with them, that I said, you guys got to get ahead of this. You got to let your audience know that this is coming down the pipeline, because the only way they get to be effective in this strategy is if they're able to create shock followed by chaos. And we're in that shock phase right now. And chaos is breathing on our neck. Trust me, I feel it with you. But I think one of the reasons, because I do monitor a lot of you guys on social media, I think one of the reasons you guys have handled it so well is because we've been prepared for this. I even said a few months ago, you haven't even seen the biggest names that are going to betray us yet. And I got news for you folks. You still haven't. There's going to be 1 or 2 more that are going to cut deep, no matter where your position lies in MAGA. So tonight we're going to be talking about, we'll start off fun. I guess we can call it fun. We will get into Q. We'll get into the Back to the Future, some comms. We'll do some real-time looks at this. I try to keep it as honest as I can, and I don't want to dive too deep into it. I kind of take a peek at it, get an idea of where I think it's going to go, and then we'll look at it together. We'll see if we find context together, or we'll see if it's a nothing burger, but we'll do it together. And the feedback I have from you guys is that you like it, because you guys are learning how to do this too. And from there, we're going to transition to Cuba and South America, which is going to be an interesting conversation. We are going to talk about Shills or ops. The vast majority of this show is probably going to be vested to that. Let's see. Patrick Manuel 62 on the Rumble chat says, can you play your new Badlands ad, Alpha. I didn't know I had a new one. So Patrick, that is news to me as well. Unless it's one of the ones that I did a while ago. So uh, we will see maybe on the next one. But that kind of lines up the show for the night. If there's any breaking news and it's significant, we'll do it live. We'll do it live. Right? But that's going to be the show tonight. So let's take care of some bills. And while we take care of some bills, if you guys can do me a solid, again, smash the thumb, hit the heart, share this out. Approaching 600 people live on Rumble, about the same on the other platforms. I'd really like to get a great audience in here today on a Tuesday. Let's let them know we got Just Alpha on Tuesday. So with that, Rumble Wallet. They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have total control and they use it. That's why financial independence matters now more than ever. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for freedom, real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether, Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one secure place. No permission, no middleman, no cancel button. And when you want to support creators you actually believe in, like this guy, you can use the Rumble Wallet app to directly tip content creators securely, instantly, and without interference. This isn't a credit line that they can shut off. It's your wallet permanently. Yours to protect your future, yours to protect your family. When the system fails, when institutions turn on their own people, financial sovereignty is the difference between security and vulnerability. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics, it's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today, download the Rumble Wallet now, and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, and true financial freedom. If you're saying, I don't see the QR code, Alpha, that's because you got to go to Rumble to see that QR code. So whatever platform you're watching on, I won't call them out by name because they'll get upset. But if you go down in their description, you'll find a link that will take you directly to Rumble. And then once you're here at Rumble, you can screenshot that QR code, hit the link that's going to be in the chat right about now. Or if you're watching the replay, you can go down in the description of Rumble and the link to this ad, the ads that we do throughout the night, including my sponsors, partnerships, and affiliates will all be there. And again, folks, I know nobody likes commercials, but it does keep me with food on the table, a roof over my head, the lights and the internet on. So this way I can make this content free for you guys. So with that, a few more. And when we come back, it is showtime.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, My Pillow mattresses and My Pillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98, now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, your order's going to ship absolutely free.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolus versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
All right, there you have it, folks. Those are the sponsors, partners, and affiliates. For now, we'll get some more throughout the night, I'm sure of it. And I'm going to put a link to scroll across the bottom since we forgot for most of the show yesterday. And now it is showtime. Let me bring this up on the screen, put me out of the way, and let's start here. Before we get into the posts, let's address what Trump put and why we have this dedicated response that I found pretty interesting, given if you've been following me, Josh, independently, or any of the work we've done together. So Donald Trump posts, and this is about 3 days ago now. He puts many countries, especially those who are affected by Iran's attempted closure of the Hormuz Strait, will be sending warships in conjunction with the United States of America to keep the strait open and safe. We have already destroyed 100% of Iran's military capability, but it's easy for them to send a drone or two, drop a mine, or deliver a close-range missile somewhere along or in this waterway, no matter how badly defeated they are. Hopefully, China, France, Japan, South Korea, and the UK, and others that are affected by this artificial constraint will send ships to the area so that the Hormuz Strait will no longer be a threat by a nation that has been totally decapitated. In the meantime, the United States will be bombing the hell out of the shoreline and continually shooting Iranian boats and ships out of the water. One way or another, we will get the Hormuz Strait open, safe, and free. President Donald J. Trump. So let's scroll to the top of this bad boy. Shanaka Aslam Barrera, if I'm saying that correctly, had a pretty good post. And let me zoom in on this because I know some of you guys like to screenshot this stuff and make it a little easier to read. And again, let me know in the chat 5x5. There's some audio issues. I kind of rely on you guys to keep me up to speed on where that. And I do like the fact that you guys are sharing at the show. So again, thank you for that. Bishanaka puts breaking. Trump just invited China to send warships to protect the waterway. Waterway China is using to replace the dollar. Read his Truth Social post carefully. It is the most strategically loaded sentence of the war. Well, we read it already. So what is Shanaka talking about here? It's pretty interesting. And he references this specific sentence. Hopefully, China, France, Japan, South Korea, the UK, and others that are affected by this artificial constraint will send ships to the area so that Hormuz Strait will no longer be a threat by a nation that has been totally decapitated. And thank you guys for those 5x5s. The invitation is a trap. Every possible Chinese response damages China. Now, why? Let's pause here and let's expand on this conversation. Y'all know when I'm going somewhere with this because I know I get this shitty grin on my face, and I know most of you guys have come to recognize it. Like, all right, he's coming with something here. Trump has been walking them into traps left and right, and what's one of the main reasons why? Because he weaponizes their approach to anything he does against them. I mean, it goes down to the childish mindset of reverse psychology, only not just at the adult level, but literally the geopolitical, even war window. This is going on. I feel you, Alan. Alan dropping those LOLs in the chat. I'm with you on that one. This is where he's at, and he's been successful with it. And again, there's evidence. This is, again, I bash against these people that try to bash on you and us saying, you guys follow Donald Trump. It's a cult mentality. No, it's educated mentality because we can look at his success from the past to articulate why we have trust in him now. For instance, go back to the beginning of the last year. I won't harp on it too much because I say it a lot, but I said it, by myself. I said it on shows with Josh. Trump is going to have them begging for the Epstein files, because they think they know which files are going to come to light. They think that the originals are destroyed. They think that Trump doesn't have the goods on them. And he's going to make them beg for it because they think the files that are in play are going to be the ones that implicate him and the good guys. That's why they were begging for it. That's why Stephen King was begging for it. That's why Kevin Spacey was begging for it. That's why the ladies in The View, you name it, the pretenders, FAGA, we're going to get into them later in the show. They were all begging for it because they thought they had the president dead to rights, and they missed up big time because they made every argument and demand for it that now as Trump systematically releases it, makes their demand, right? Because they're thinking like it's coming. We know what's in there. We know the scripts that we got from our NGOs. We know the scripts that we got from these intelligence agencies. We know the scripts we got from the military industrial complex. We know that he's cooked, and they've just been cooking themselves. That mentality exists on what's going on right now with Iran. It's why me and Josh, I hate to say it, but it is what it is, have been the absolute most accurate. You got this knucklehead Marine and a knucklehead Navy guy, and we've been the most accurate at anticipating what these next moves are going to look like and the reasons why. And nobody can argue with that. We have the shows and the posts that support all that stuff. So again, when he says this invitation is a trap, he's going to walk us through why. And I find this a really brilliant strategy. If Beijing sends warships, it legitimizes an American-led coalition, subordinates Chinese naval power to the U.S. command architecture, and abandons its diplomatic neutrality with Iran, the country currently offering the China yuan only passage through the strait that everyone else is locked out of. China loses its shadow fleet advantage, its discounted Iranian crude, and its SIPs leverage in a single deployment. That's if they send the ships, because then it's like, oh, well, Trump demanded it and China's doing it, right? If Beijing refuses, it confirms that Washington wants what Washington wants the world to see, that China is willing to let the global economy burn rather than contribute to the security of the waterway that carries 45% of its own crude imports. Every nation paying $96 a barrel, while China pays less through the yuan settled shadow fleet deliveries, will note who showed up and who did not. The free rider narrative writes itself, and America writes the next chapter of the dollar dominance with it. So if China does it, they're screwed. If China doesn't do it, they're screwed on all the world is a stage. So he knew China was going to react one way or another. He knows that. What he's doing is he's controlling the narrative, right? There's a lot of conversation, especially if you guys watch Badlands, the narratives are important. And that's what Trump did. He took ownership of the narrative regardless of what China does. The dude is a mastermind. Trump named 6 countries. 5 are allies or partners. Japan is signing the Golden Dome in 5 days. France operates from Djibouti. The UK from Bahrain. South Korea has direct Hormuz energy exposure. Their participation is expected. China's participation is the question, and the question is the weapon. While 16 million barrels of Iranian crude have transited to China since 28th of February through shadow tankers settling in yuan, while SIPs processed 24.5 trillion in 2025 at a 43% growth, while Iran offered to reopen the strait exclusively for yuan cargo. Trump posted a sentence that forces China to choose between its shadow economy and its public legitimacy. The guy's so brilliant. The post also contains an admission that no briefing has delivered. We have already destroyed 100% of Iran's military, but it's easy for them to send a drone or two, drop a mine, or deliver a close-range missile somewhere along or within its waterway, no matter how badly defeated they are. End of the quote. The President of the United States just acknowledged that total military victory does not equal total waterway security. Let's pause on this because this is a very important sentence, because this is one of the things that's getting weaponized today. Imminent threat versus not. Now, the deep state and all their people that were pushing their script today, and I'm not going to go too much into Joe Kent, but this particular conversation applies to this conversation. If you notice, if you're awake early today, like I was, right, because we went to bed early last night, everybody that had the script to push against MAGA, Trump, and America First was saying imminent threat, imminent threat, imminent threat. And then we were able to get just fire back, showing, hey, Houthi still exists. Hezbollah still exists. Hamas still exists. The threat to our ship still exists. And then they had a shift to imminent nuclear threat. Well, that's a different conversation base. And again, we'll address that, when we get to that part of the conversation here in a couple of days. But just understand that this is a war of words. War of words. Yeah, I said that. Peter Pickers. I still can't even say it. I tried. And Woodstock 7. Yes, I pray Tina Peters is free. We continue to pray for that woman who is carrying the load of a lot of people on her back to fight for this country. But let's continue. The President of the United States just acknowledged that the total military victory does not equal total waterway security. Iran's military is destroyed. The coastline is not. A defeated nation with a 33-kilometer shoreline, $500 mines, and $20,000 drones cannot deny passage to the world's most important checkpoint indefinitely because the weapons of denial are cheaper than the weapons of dominance. In the meantime, the United States will be bombing the hell out of the shoreline, bomb the coast, shoot the boats, and hope that the six nations send warships to escort tankers that have no insurance, no P&I coverage, and no private sector willingness to transit a waterway. The president himself admits a defeated nation can still threaten. The coalition call is not about Iran. Iran's military is destroyed. The coalition call is about the world that emerges after Iran. If America escorts the tankers alone, the strait reopens under American control and dollar pricey survives. If a coalition escorts them, the strait reopens under international consensus and the Juan for Hormuz proposal dies. If nobody escorts them, the strait stays closed and China's shadow fleet is the only commerce moving through it. Trump is not asking for help. He is asking every nation to declare which monetary system they want the strait to open under when the war ends. The warships are the ballot, the strait is the polling station, and the currency is the vote. Now, the only thing I would shift here is he's saying that this is to declare which monetary system they are, and I get it, and he's not wrong in saying that, but I think what Trump is really doing here is making them show which side of the war that they're on. And that's very important for some of the things that are going to be happening over the next few weeks, what he's going to declare, who he's going to help, and surprisingly, who he's not going to help. And that's why this move surrounding the Hormuz Strait is so freaking important. So again, phenomenal post, and that came from Shanaka 86, if you guys want to follow him. Next, we move on to BRICS News puts this out just in. This was on March 14th, so 4 days ago. Iran threatens to strike Ukraine over drone assistance to Israel. Says the country is a legitimate target. So there's a lot in this one. For instance, depending on how far you've gone down the rabbit holes, you've seen a lot of connections between Ukraine and Israel. Some connections people don't want to acknowledge, but there's a lot of twisted stuff there, right? Especially if you go way down into the rabbit hole of the Khazarian mafia and bloodlines and where they came from, and when you start to realize what was Ukraine called a very long time ago. I'll do a separate show on that. We've done one a few years ago, me and Scott McKay, that landed us on Rachel Maddow's show where she was calling us a bunch of Nazis, which is hilarious considering that Azov Battalion has Nazis. But again, not to go too sidetrack on Squirrel, Iran threatens to strike Ukraine. Now, if Iran was to strike Ukraine, that doesn't hurt the United States. It does hurt the EU, and it does have an impact on Israel. So who emboldened Iran to make that threat? Right? We get it if Iran makes the threats against Israel. There's this combat going back and forth. We get if Iran chooses, a really close neighbor, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, right? The UAE. But why stretch out your arm all the way out to Ukraine? My speculation here is not all the attacks that have been targeted at American embassies in the Middle East were done by Iran. And I think when you start to see these things come to light, leak operations, covert operations, people that were told are our adversaries that are working with us, when all that combined surveillance comes forward, I think people are going to realize that some of these attacks on our embassies and towards our troops that were shown to be Iran, and maybe they happened maybe they were launched from Iran. But when we find out what operatives and intelligence agencies were there that actually pulled those triggers, I think people are going to be surprised. And I think what we are seeing here with this threat against Ukraine was the good sovereign alliance letting the globalist elite know, you want to play that way, we're going to play that way too. We'll use Iran to hit your targets. And that's kind of my speculation with regards to this one. the post that I put, I said, this is very interesting. I wonder who is using Iran as proxy to strike or force Ukraine to end the war with Russia. If you follow myself and Josh, you know the answer to this, but y'all clowns think Israel controlled Trump or what's going on. Let's continue on. We get into this one. Real Robert puts, here it is. The Hungarian government is releasing a documentary on how Democrats funneled money through one sponsor of terror, USAID, to another, George Soros, to promote democratic agendas such as the invasion of the U.S. border. And I do have this clip to show you guys.
The Hungarian government has announced that they will be releasing a documentary exposing the USAID scandal. The movie will focus on revealing how USAID funneled millions of dollars into ideological movements in their country. They claim that political organizations and liberal media, which claim to be independent, received money through USAID to promote Democrat agendas such as illegal migration, transgenders, and war stances. Orban's government says USAID is working with George Soros's Open Society Foundations in the plot.
So, sovereign alliance, folks, you're going to start seeing this stuff come from countries that you're going to be like, this is interesting. There's a reason the news cycle is what it is right now. There's a reason that Joe Kent made the statement that he made right now. A lot of you guys don't even know this, but Joe Kent has not been in the intel briefings for the last few weeks. Wait, why is that, Alpha? Oh, wasn't he part, the main dog in counterterrorism? Well, yeah. Wait, remember what I said about operational security months ago? Remember when I told you that there are certain people that are putting out information to sources and that information is specific so they can identify leaks? It's kind of interesting that Tucker Carlson does an interview about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And he talks about he's so influential, he can impact the geopolitical world. He has that much influence. But then last week, Tucker Carlson puts out a new post and video. And he reports, the CIA spying on me. And then he does, in a conversation, I believe it was with Nick Fuentes or Nico? No, it was Nick Fuentes. So then Tucker does an interview with Fuentes, and he says, I'm just a journalist. Like, what do I matter? And he's like, no, Tucker. You don't get to just tell us, in the recent history that you're that important. And then all of a sudden you find out the CIA is looking into you, and you're like, hey, I'm just a journalist. I'm not important. Which one is it? Were you lying then? You lying now? But more importantly, is you remember Signalgate, right? Well, who was a part of Signalgate? Well, that would be Joe Kent. And didn't Tucker Carlson make the statement that he has somebody very high up in the administration that's providing him information? Could that be Joe Kent? Could it be that when Joe Kent was no longer brought into these intelligence briefings, could it be, let's speculate here, right? Let's do what they do. We're just asking questions. Could it be that Joe Kent's the one that went to Tucker and said, hey, the CIA saw our conversation? Because it sure is amazing that this all just happened and Joe Kent's on Tucker Carlson today. I mean, maybe it's just a coincidence, if you still believe in coincidences. Again, we are on the verge, folks, of finding out how much the Crown has infiltrated our elections, how much the CCP has infiltrated our elections, and how much Israeli intelligence has impacted our government. And the crazy part is when people start to realize that those probably all aren't separate entities. So, of course, expect a lot of chaos. That article is coming. Words like insurrection act, martial law, posse comitatus. I'm doing my best to get this out as quick as I can for you guys, to prepare you guys on how to handle these conversations that are going to be coming with the proper definitions, the proper understandings, historic precedents, the the chessboard as the Biden administration was setting it up, as opposed to Trump setting up the chessboard once he got control back of the reins, at least optically, and where we're going to be going here very quickly. Like, you are going to see things escalate very quickly, especially with these narratives. So that kind of addresses that. I'm going to move us into the fun stuff now. You guys probably saw a lot of this over the last couple of days, last week. Plenty of people put it out. I mean, it'd be hard to try to give everybody credit. So many of you sent this to me. I'd spend the whole show if I was trying to give each one of you credit. But just know I appreciate all you guys that sent me this information. But just like Gizmo says, it's true. Here's the White House YouTube video if you want to see it for yourself. And so let me pause this, and I'm just going to play it from the beginning so you guys can see, not without the audio because it's just the rally. But I just want you guys to see this play out, and then you're going to see what happens to the screen. Boom, screen goes green. And so the reason I wanted to show that to you guys is just so you guys know, are people, just saying it? Did it really happen? No, it really did happen. There's the video. So, and just, of course I would pause it at 17 seconds. I didn't do that on purpose. However, it worked out that way. Let's do the Rumble rants as they come in. I'm solid with that. Sting Tammy just dropped $17 in the Rumble rant. Says, no coincidences. I'm right there with you on that, Sting. Let me see if there's any super chats. So this way we won't leave out our super chat fam, right? No super chats just yet. So if we go and we look up there's a post that's missing right here. Let me jump ahead of this one. We'll come back to that. If we go to just like Gizmo's next one, it says the RSBN feed had it to look at the time, 4:52 p.m. Eastern. And so if you go to post 4:52, and this is what Gizmo did, this is the post that you come up on. Enough is enough. And then obviously you got the G in brackets, you got the O in brackets, you got go, how's good hunting. Then, where's the other one? I'm trying to make sure one doesn't pop up that I want to show you guys before we get ahead of it. If you go, the video feed of Trump's speech in Kentucky turned green. 4:52, we covered that. The green screen remained green for 38 seconds. So 38 seconds of a full green screen, which then takes us back. Let me go backwards in time because I had these out of place for you to post 38 here, which is the one that we went over. It's dated November 2nd, 2017, and this is what it reads. 4 carriers and escorts in the Pacific. Why is this relevant? To prevent other state actors from attempting to harm us during this transition. Russia, China. Now, I get it. This says Pacific, but think carriers, think ships, and think of what the conversation we just had at the start of this show. Or conversely, all 4 North Korea or all 3. Think logically about the timing of everything happening. Again, Joe Kent coming out, the briefing where Tulsi Gabbard's getting, asked these questions, everybody trying to say that Iran doesn't pose an imminent threat. We have John Solomon that's been coming out talking about we're about to get this massive disclosure. We've already seen the subpoena. We've already seen the boxes of ballots that were confiscated by the FBI. 30 boxes are missing that nobody even knows where the heck they are. We're getting ballots that don't even have folds in them. Think of the timing. All that's happening right now in real time. No increased military movement. No National Guard deployments starting tomorrow. Now, not tomorrow, but about 12 days from now, April 1st, all the National Guard QRF teams have to be trained up and ready to deploy, all 50 states. So 12 days from now. Note the false flags, follow HUMA, prepare messages of reassurance based on what was dropped here to spread on different platforms. This is the sentence that I think is very important, at least for my job. Prepare messages of reassurance, the calm before the storm. The one phrase that unfortunately has been so worn out is the precipice and the storm is upon us. And I get it. And I can understand everybody's frustration on that. Again, we always hear it. Nothing happens. We always hear it. Nothing happens. And I get it. But if you want to put this conversation in post 38 to context right now, there's a damn lot of stuff that supports it. And again, the conversations they're having when Joe Kent comes out and tells Tucker Carlson President Trump lied about Iran being an imminent threat, that is the weapon needed for the Democrats to call for the impeachment of President Trump. Now you say, yeah, Alpha, but the Democrats don't control the House. They don't control the Senate. We're solid. Are we? Remember, the SAVE Act, Save America Act. Trump has been pushing this really hard. Why does that matter? Well, do you think any of these congressmen are going to pass the act that's going to remove them from office? Do you think the global mechanism that Trump's been exposing to us is going to just pass the Save? That's the, if the Save America Act passes, granted, we need more things, but that's a definitive blow that's going to lead to them being dismantled. They lose their ability to keep our elections as fraudulent. So what do? Well, all of a sudden, these GOP rhinos that don't want to pass it, and you've seen the names of them. I think it's at 21 or something like that. Well, if Trump lied to his counterterrorism officer and lied to the American people about Iran, then he needs to be impeached. This is a bipartisan issue. A president should never lie to the American people or Congress or his own staff. That's what they want to do. They're not going to get it. Let me just tell you right now, they're not going to get it because Trump already anticipated this. He steps ahead of them. But just understand how severe that statement that Joe Kent made today to Tucker Carlson is. That is a sentence that can lead them to impeachment hearings against the president. So, the storm upon us, it's going to be pretty soon. It's definitely going to be upon us before we get to midterms. Just like Gizmo again, we covered that part, post 38, post 452, RSBN, there's the time, so everything for you guys to get confirmation on it. Then U.S. Central Command says U.S. forces remain centered on very clear military objectives for eliminating Iran's ability to project power against America and its neighbors. Why is this important? This is important because you have heard, especially it's just been overwhelming the last 2-3 days, that our military and Trump have not given us any objectives of what we're doing over there. They've done it almost every day, folks. Like if you watch different podcasts out there, you're on social media, Unexpected Gurgle, Smith Munt Modern. Listen, Unexpected. All right. We're wrapping the show up with the Smith Munt Modernization Act. So let's not go there yet. Don't get ahead of me there, Unexpected. See, this is what I'm telling you. You guys don't need me no more. Like you guys know where this stuff is going. And yes, spoiler alert, everybody can blame Unexpected Gurgle in the Rumble chat. We are going to wrap this conversation up tonight. Well, the second to the last thing we're going to be talking about tonight, the Smith Modernization Act. I'm going to make sure you guys all know exactly what that is. And then we have a video that's about 4 minutes that we'll be closing out with. But yes, that'll put a bow on all this that we're going to talk about tonight. Because I know we're going to see that. The president's already hinted at it. And I think we all had a lot to do with it, but we'll get there. But again, Operation Epic Fury, clearly defined objectives. President Trump, a time traveler. Century-old sketches spark new conspiracy theories. I don't know if you guys saw this. Me and Josh talked about it on Q After Hours. But how do you have something that's over 100 years old, before Trump's time, and you have Trump right there? Of course, you guys see Barron Trump's marvelous underground journey. I mean, I've never been that conspiracy theorist. For those of you who have followed me recently, yes, I get it. But my entire, childhood and adult life, I've never been the conspiracy theorist. But I mean, like, really? Like, we can't just ignore this. And here's the thing. They don't want us to ignore it. And I'm going to get into Scavino, but let's take a look at what the New York Post put right here. It's a short one, so I'll just read it to you guys. Move over science fiction. The internet thinks Donald Trump might have cracked time travel. I want to laugh, but man, this is serious though. A discovered trove of a 100-year-old sketches by Peruvian-born artist Charles de la Salle could hold clues that former president and his youngest son Barron could be hopping through the decades observers suggest. De la Salle, who died in 1923, was obsessed with Arios, bizarre flying machines that look part balloon, part airplane, part steampunk fantasy. We talking UFOs here? Conspiracy buffs are zooming in on the word Trump. Scrawled across the drawings. Add that a blonde, doodled person steering a craft labeled 45. And theorists' tinfoil hats are practically melting. Then there are the books. I mean, folks, 45th president Trump. I'm just saying, this is, y'all gonna think I'm weird. That's okay. As previously reported by the Post, in the 1890s, Ingersoll Lockwood penned tales featuring a boy named Baron Trump who lived in the lavish castle Trump and traveled through the weirdest adventures guided by his wise mentor, Don. Fans of the theory say the uncanny similarities to Baron Trump are too strange to ignore. In The Last President, Lockwood imagined a chaotic New York vote and Fifth Avenue riots. Yes, really. In the author's tale, President Byron picks up a Pence for his cabinet. You mean like VP Pence? Just like Trump's former Veep, Mike Pence. This is wild. Even the family's own words have become ammunition for theorists. The commander-in-chief has repeatedly said, "I know things that other people don't know," sparking endless debate online. But not everyone's buying into the chatter. Asked about the theory, the commander-in-chief's 18-year-old Irwin-loving granddaughter, Kay Trump, was unequivocal. "I don't want to go down those rabbit holes." She didn't say they weren't true. The story gets spicier when Delashoes imagined anti-gravity fuel dubbed MB gas or soup, which powered his flying machines. UFO enthusiasts are already pointing out that sounds a lot like what government calls unidentified anomalous phenomenon. Tech Trump has promised to reveal to the public, and that can come any day, folks. And of course, the internet loves to link everything to real life. There's the Ingersoll Lockwood's Baron Trump's marvelous underground journey. As per the New Yorker, Donald Trump's uncle, MIT professor John G. Trump, once reviewed Nikola Tesla's paper, with conspiracy theorists claim could have included secret time travel tech. Toss in a few centuries-old paintings and gargoyles that apparently resemble the former president, and voila, instant viral fodder. Whether it's actual time travel or just another case of humans connecting dots that probably shouldn't be connected, one thing's certain: the Trump family continues to inspire theories that would make even Doc Brown, the Back to the Future, raise an eyebrow. Now that's an interesting thing because then we get to Dan Scavino. We're in a damn simulation, folks. If you think we're living in a simulation, let me know in the chat or drop it in the comments. Like, man, I'm telling you, folks, like, I don't want to sound crazy, but we just finished saying, do we really believe in conspiracies like that? This is wild. So there's a 12-second video. Let's play it real quick, and then we'll get into this Scavino post.
Who's president of the United States in 1985?
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, the actor? Then who's vice president? Jerry Lewis?
So Scavino obviously wanted to remember when Doc asked Marty McFly who the president was after, sending him into the future. Flashback Friday, future. This is not a recent post. When is this post from? This post is from September 18th, 2015. 4:46 my time, which would be 7:36 or 1936 on the boards. So let's go to post 2206 from September 18th. This would have been a delta for that day. Prepare your means. Non-NSA tech today cannot read. And let me zoom out of this just to make it a little bit easier for you guys all to see. And here's what it says. Do you believe in coincidences? The fight is real. The time is now. Define projection. Deep state panic is real. Think about real-time Q tracking. September 10, drop the mean. September 13th, 14th, articles drops. Facebook meme. September 16th, articles drops highlight examples. 18th, Wired responds, one article memes queue. The power you have is real. Fight, fight, fight. Now, y'all know where that statement became very famous. And I got my brother Silent sending me a text. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't important because he typically knows better than to send me a text when we're live. So I just wanted to make sure it wasn't no emergency, folks. But looks like we're good. Silent. Pay attention to the live camera. But again, when they try to assassinate President Trump, what does he do when he gets up in stage, Butler, Pennsylvania? Fight, fight, fight. What does this start off with? Do you believe in coincidences? The fight is real. September 18th to Delta. Again, if you weren't tracking, we get September 18th from this date right here, back in 2015. I mean, you know, maybe it's something, maybe it's nothing. Again, the video is 12 seconds. So if we go to post 12, this is dated October 30th, 2017. Military intelligence reference above is absolute biggest inside drop this board will ever receive. Now think about why Antifa plays right into the plan. Always ahead, guys are winning. Now, this particular one, especially now in its current context, I think applies to more than just Antifa. We see the entire apparatus getting exposed. Again, we just saw with USAID documentary that's coming out. We see USAID got exposed by Doge. Again, National Endowment for Democracy. The NGOs are getting their asses kicked and exposed. Everybody's being exposed right now. So when we say, you know, plays right into the plan, that also means plays into Trump's traps, because Trump's traps are part of the plan. Good guys are winning. Trump hasn't given us any reason, folks, to panic. We should always have concern, but he hasn't given us any reason to panic. Again, if we go to last week's show, or it was last week or the week before, when the administration came out and put out the post, and we talked about it, every show was talking about it, Patriots in Control. Again, it was a great post. A lot of people are like, yes, vindication, and I understand that. But my personal opinion, I shared it on my show, I shared it on the other shows. When the boss comes out and says Patriots are in control, it's not because he wants you to gloat. It's because, like the post we just read a few minutes ago, to make sure that we're prepared for what's coming, to make sure that we are armed with the information, to make sure that we actually have working knowledge of what this plan looks like, to make sure that we can provide real-time assessments of everything that's going on to prevent panic. The main thing I want you guys to take away from tonight is three things. For you not to panic, and for you to have the information to make sure others don't panic, and then to be the light to guide people in the direction of what's going on. Like that. That's why I'm doing these podcasts, folks. And granted, it's fun. Granted, it's taking care of my bills, but none of that matters if we lose the country, right? The purpose of my podcast, and I would hope others, but I can only speak for myself. The purpose of this podcast is to make sure that you guys aren't just digital soldiers, but to make sure that you guys are capable digital soldiers. Because let's just say, let's go into a hypothetical right now. What if there was an attack on our infrastructure? Because they might be coming, and they hit our power grids. Just ask yourself, let's just all take a moment right now to reflect. If they hit our power grids, hit Amazon servers, hit Rumble servers. It's not like these places are hidden, folks. It's open source info. If they went and crippled the internet, do you feel confident enough in the knowledge base that you have that you know what would be going on if you didn't have the internet for 2 or 3 weeks? That's question one. Question two is, if you do feel like you have the knowledge, do you feel confident enough to deploy that knowledge to your local community, your neighbor, the one that lives next to you, in front of you, behind you, your block? Do you even know your neighbors? You know, you're going to be in a pickle if your first conversation with your neighbors is, hey, the power's out. I need to tell you about some tinfoil shit that you don't. We've never said hi, but I'm about to rock your world with Pizzagate and globalists and Rothschilds and what really happened to the Titanic. You know, build those relationships and then make sure that you're able to communicate that. Because again, we hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. So again, not to go on a rant, I just don't want you guys to think that this is not just entertainment. You know, I love the fact that you guys appreciate my voice, but this is not entertainment, folks. I am providing to you a briefing. We just happen to call it a podcast in this digital world. But just know you are digital soldiers, and I'm providing you a briefing so that we're prepared for what's coming in the next couple of days, the next couple of weeks, the next couple of months. Let's carry on. Dan Scavino is not done. This one is current. This is from March 11th, so about 7 days ago. And I have this one for you as well. So let me hit play on this one. Again, this one's very short. I don't think we have any too long videos for tonight. I mean, if there's ever a post that says, yeah, get ready, let's look at the timing of this, right? Early hours, right? Whether it's pre-dawn or whatever you consider, it's it's what we call, midnight 30, right? This is a post from 7 days ago that when you look at it says, hey, we're getting ready for a fight. Granted, this is Operation Epic Fury, but could it just be Moto? Could be. Could it just be hype? It could be. But if you zoom out, you take the 40,000 foot view of Scavino and how important his messaging has been on social media, we know he does communicate through this. So let's take a look at the first one, which is the video is 28 seconds. And so when we peep out post 28, dated November 1st. What must be completed to engage military intelligence over other three-letter agencies? During the 1950s and 60s, federal troops and federalized National Guard forces, accompanied by military intelligence personnel, were deployed to help integrate Southern schools and to help deal with civil disorders in Detroit and other cities, like the following year after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Throughout the period, military intelligence units also continued to collect data on Americans at home who were suspected of involvement in subversive activities. Now, I'm not going to keep on reading. It's post, again, 28 if you guys want to read, but this part right here, if you haven't studied, what we're talking about here is the Insurrection Act, martial law, posse comitatus, and he's giving historic precedents of when these things were used. What was the scope that they were used? What were the limitations of the government? What were the limitations of the president? Was it the National Guard under the state? Was it the National Guard under the president? There's a reason, folks. Again, that video, Zero Dark 30, getting ready for a fight, and then the post leads us to this opening statement. We go to the time, 8:27 my time, so that'd be 9, 10, 11, 27, or 23, 27. Military time. So if we go take a look at post 2327, this is date October 3rd, 2018. It takes time to reach the public domain. Again, you guys can go read the whole post if you want. I just want to isolate it to this phrase right here because this is extremely important. I do my best to try to make myself present at many of these virtual town halls as possible for when people, where are the arrests? Where are the arrests? So many of you, I see it in the chat from time to time, but where's the arrests? Still no arrests. Well, one, there has been a lot of arrests, but I think what you're implying is how come we haven't seen the Clintons and the Obamas and, Brennan and those guys? Why haven't we seen those? And again, I'd invite you to understand my perspective of the deep state, the globalists, whatever title you want to give them. They're not afraid of us arresting these people. They have 1,000 people to replace each one of them. There's only one thing they fear, and that's Trump exposing how the mechanism actually works, because that gives us sovereignty. The rest are going to come. I'm not saying they're not. They're going to. They may not look the way we want, and they may not be the specific charges we want, but these are going to be charges that take these people away for the rest of their lives. But again, it takes time to reach the public domain. Let's carry on. Dan Scavino again drops this gem. Do I have this one lined up for you guys? I do. These are quick, so I don't mind playing these for you guys. This one's like 5 seconds.
Tick, tick, boom. Who bringing the noise? Go, baby, we bringing our toys.
Pay attention to the first couple words.
Tick, tick, boom. Who bringing the noise? Go, baby, we bringing our toys.
Tick, tick, boom. You guys know, if you guys been paying attention to some of the deltas, we're getting into boom, 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 right? That's coming. And this post is from, I believe, the 11th as well. Yes, this is also from the 11th. And that's Scavino's telling us. Tick, tick, boom. So if we go to post, and again, just so you guys see the time here, 8:18. So if we go to 9, 10, 11, 18, or 23:18, we'll do civilian time first. That brings us to post April 10th of 2018. Let me see if there was any relevance to this one. Chongqing, China. For more than a decade, Chinese automakers have been talking about starting large-scale exports to North America and Europe, prompting periodic worries in the West that companies like General Motors, Ford, and Volkswagen might be crippled by Chinese competition the way they were by Japanese imports a generation ago. I don't see a whole lot of relevance there. I mean, I guess we could stretch this one to say, you know, the conversation we saw earlier with Trump calling them out, is China going to send boats to, you know, make sure that the global economy is not jeopardized through this? Or is China just going to expose to the rest of the world that they'll let everybody suffer while they just get their oil? I mean, we can kind of stretch it to that. I don't know. But again, post 11:18, if we go to drop 5, because the video was 5 seconds, this takes us to October 29th. Follow the money. It's the key. What is Pelosi's net worth by way of one example? Why coincidentally is her memory apparently going? Cover for possible future indictments to plead what? What if John M. never had surgery and that was cover for a future out if needed against prosecution? Why did Soros transfer his bulk public funds to an NP? Note this doesn't include massive slush funds that are pulled by several high-ups. Why did Soros' son have several meetings with Canadian Prime Minister, and how is that related to the Clintons? Again, think of who his son has married, and that marriage came after this post. Can you rely on being able to board a plane and fly away? Why is MS-13 a priority? Nobody got this. Could people pay such gangs to kill opponents? And why and how to insulate against exposure? Again, if we would have had a 4-hour show and you saw yesterday's show, you would understand this would have fed right back into the conversation I had surrounding Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone and Seth Rich. I would say if you're like, I don't want to recover that because we covered that yesterday. So part 1 of the Just Alpha this week, that actually would give a lot of sense to that. Let's keep going. Dan Scavino still wasn't done, right? And do we have this one? Yes, and this one's longer, so let's hit play.
It's rolling around the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine. I don't know when. I'm looking for the breath, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps rolling on down the line.
Despite difficulty and delay, achieving success been underway. Continued effort regardless of failed attempts. Don't hold your breath, my second wind still ain't took effect. I've been groomed by endless struggle. I came from the puddles of misery. Hustling was the only way out. Generations of history filled with muscle, no brain, no guidance, all stray. Pain-fueled rage.
Now, very kind of interesting energy coming out of it. But if you were paying attention to the first lyrics towards the end of the song, what does he say? You know, despite the delay, they're still going to make the mission happen. So again, they chose these videos. They listened to these lyrics. And so he's telling us, look at, you guys have been, we understand your frustrations. We hear you, but it's still going to happen. I think that's important. So 5:01 my time, which would be 8:01 or 20:01. So if we go to Q drop 8:01, AG Sessions, U.S. Cyber Task Force, important. I don't see any relevance to that, but that's the post. Maybe one of you does, and you can let us know in the comment section. Just make sure you reference what you're talking about. Some of you guys will put answers here. So here, I do have a complaint real quick. All right, audience, because we are a team. I love when you guys go in the comment section and you drop a gem, but I'm like, what are they talking about though? Let me know, you guys. Even if you want to do a time, like if you don't want to write it out because it's too long, let me know. Hey, at the 2-hour mark, or hey, remember when you were talking about this? Here's my position. So at least I know what you're referencing. But again, you guys do drop some gems, and I appreciate it. If we go to post 20:01 for the military time, this brings us to an August 30th, 2018. To preserve the republic, some things must remain buried. Now, given the video, the several videos, but that one specific, and then again, given the lyrics, even though these things take time, here's the thing, folks, and I'm not going to say this is the answer because I don't know, but I just want to make sure that we prepare ourselves for all scenarios. When this post 20:01, and granted, maybe this is one of the disinformation posts because they didn't give us a checklist, right? Disinformation's a part of it. But when you look at post 20:01 and it says to preserve the republic, that statement of itself is very important to the conversation. It's not talking about, hey, this is better. Hey, we kind of decided this. It's saying to preserve what we have, to preserve our republic, to preserve the United States of America. So that's communicating what was at stake. The solution, according to this post, that's so you don't panic and we don't get all pissed off, some things must remain buried. And I'm telling you, folks, you may have to prepare yourself that, the storyline surrounding Pizzagate and these other ones may never get vindicated. The adrenochrome, the occult stuff, that stuff may never make its way to the public light because to preserve the republic, whether it's through analytical assessments, Project Looking Glass, like whatever you want to identify as the pathway to coming to this conclusion, what this operation is telling you, and every aspect that we looked at, we decided that there's some things that are just going to have to remain classified or we lose it all. And then I have to ask you then, doesn't mean these people are not going to be held accountable. I want to be very clear about that. It just means that you might not see Hillary Clinton go down for a frazzle rip. We might not see that. But we might see her get put life in prison for treason related to criminal enterprise and stolen elections and giving our special access programs and classified information to China. So she's still removed from the mat. Like I said, whether it's a life sentence or treason is even punishable by death, that's the law. But if you watched yesterday's show, you would see that the indicators are Bill and Hillary are talking. And if they're talking, it's my speculation that the reason they're talking is because they're making a deal. We don't want to go to the gallows. We will cooperate. We will help preserve this republic because we know we lost. And this is the deal we're going to meet to avoid the punishment of death. And so, like I said, it's just a perspective that I at least want you guys to be prepared for. Let's keep going. This post is pretty cool. So the White House does this post right here. And I think I did do this one because it's cool. I did. All right, let me play it for you guys.
Strike to claim it. A strike to claim it. And he got it! Here comes the heat from the USA.
Total kick-ass video. Cowboy W2B says, coincidentally, so let's take a look what he does. Let me go big screen with it and make it a little easier for you guys to see. He says strike. And so when he goes and he researches the word strike on the boards, what does he come up with? He comes up with, oh, right here, 3110, March 11th. Now, I'm not a big fan of adding the zeros. You guys have kind of swayed me back and forth when it comes to this, because I get it. It holds no value. So you can drop it, you can add it. And in this situation, I mean, damn, it does line up. You got March 11th, so you get 311, right? Oh, 311 day, baby. Shout out, hoorah. And you get the White House dropping strike, and there's a strike there. So I do think that, yeah, listen, maybe I'm the one that's wrong, and we should be, using these zeros when it comes to things like that. But again, shout out to Cowboy W2B for dropping that little gem right there. And I think there might have been one more that I saw that I like. Let's see. This one goes back to the go. This is what I wanted to show. So Dan Scavino again reposts the White House. And again, so obviously they want us to see it because the White House posted it, and then Dan Scavino doubled down and he puts it out there. Now, if Scavino doubles down, I'm going to pay attention to the times that he chooses to do that. Again, 7:51 is my time, so that would be 10:51 or 22:51. So, and it's also a 34-second video. So if we check out post 34, again, most of you guys will all know this. For those that follow the board, Q clearance on POTUS's order. We have initiated certain fail-safes that shall safeguard the public from primary fallout, which is slated to occur 11.3 upon the arrest announcement of Mr. Podesta. Actionable 11.4, confirmation to the public of what is occurring will be revealed and will not be only accepted and will not be openly accepted. Public riots are being organized in serious numbers in an effort to prevent the arrest and capture of more senior public officials. On POTUS's order, a state of temporary military control will be actioned and special ops carried out. False leaks have been made to restrain several within the confines of the United States to prevent extradition and special operator necessity. Holy shit on this one. This has so much context to what's going on. First of all, if you go to the other posts from the White House and Scavino that we've talked about just within the last few minutes, again, what did I say? That language is preparing for what? Posse Comitatus, Insurrection Act, martial law. Again, what are you seeing here? Temporary military control will be actioned. Special ops. What special ops are we talking about? What did I just finish telling you that Trump said? Remember, they had to be made and created by January 1st, 2026. We're talking the QRF teams, which stands for Quick Reaction Force. Those are made. Every state has one. And then Trump said, hey, Secretary of War, our National Guard QRF teams, and just so you know, when you go and research them, this is open source information. These are for public uprisings and things that get out of control. They have to be fully trained up and deployable by April 1st. That's 13 days from now. And again, we're being told temporary. And like I said, I'm probably not going to sleep tonight as I tried to get this, ready for you guys for tomorrow or probably Friday. I don't know if I can get it done tomorrow, but I am going to get this document ready for you. But again, look at all these different QComs that we're getting. Coincidence? I mean, a lot would say. I don't believe in it no more, especially when it's consistent between the White House's controlled government accounts and then Scavino. And then again, Scavino's the one that doubles down and shows this post, knows the timestamp, knows the length of the video, wants to make sure we see it, wants to make sure that we have these conversations. So now, if we go to the time, civilian time 10:51, that brings us to this. Backpage.com and affiliate websites have been seized. Again, there's a boom. That didn't take long. Preparation, strength tests for God and country. We fight for freedom. I don't see a whole lot of context that's relevant regarding the back page. I'm glad it was all taken down. But I mean, you could make the argument that this conversation down here applies to what we're talking about now. It could be. If we go to the military time, 22:51, this is September 21st one. Patriots new, think fake news media attacks. Anons are months ahead of the news. I mean, that's one that you can probably make context out of that anytime. But again, that's the timestamp there. Then we get into the White House. No panicins. I'm telling you, some of you have messaged me and are like, we know you're an op. We know, some of you said, you know you're a white hat. We know you're working with Trump. Let me just be very clear. I'm just a guy doing his job to do my part to try to save the country. Ain't nothing more special about me beyond that, outside of, you know, you guys are my audience, right? You guys, you're my team, but I'm just a guy. But I've been pretty damn accurate for being just a guy. Again, to what we were talking about earlier from the post that the White House put out, patriots are in control. And then the White House puts out, and this one was on the 14th, so 4 days ago. No panicins. They're telling you guys, we're in control. Things are going to get dicey. You're going to see us use the military. Don't panic. No panicins, right? Yes, we want to say they're making fun of the panicins, and they do. You know, we do a little trolling. But the more important part here is they're making sure we know they're in control. Don't panic. Let's make sure we all understand our individual responsibilities. Let's all make sure we understand our civic responsibilities. Let's all make sure that we're not sitting on the couch, that we're getting our asses off the couch, and that we're actively being a part of preserving our republic, whatever capacity or skill set you have. We all need to be doing something. Again, if you're not doing nothing, you're part of the problem. Sorry, part of the problem. Alpha, I'm too old. Well, your wallet's not. Alpha, I don't have enough experience. Well, then there's a way to get it, right? There's lots of things you could do to be a part of it, and we all have responsibility. This post came in at 3:32, so this would be 6:32 or 18:32. So if we go to 6:32 first, this is dated January 27th. HK allowed his passport to clear customs with the clowns in America and Department of Defense putting a national security hold. World War, how does he clear customs? How does he end up in Russia? Coincidence? Who was the first agency he worked for? Who taught him the game? Who assigned him with foreign ops? Why is this relevant? Future unlocks past. Watch the news. Spiderweb. Stop taking the sleeping pill. I don't see a whole lot of relevance to this. Maybe one of you guys does. Like I said, I'll never write it off and say there's not, because I'm not the arbiter of knowing all things. But if you do have a take on that, put in the comments, let us know. If we go to the military time of 1832, that takes us to August the 10th. And that brings us to this. How many in Washington and those around the world in power worship the devil? Conspiracy, fake news, the world is watching. And I think, you know, if you go up a little bit too, at some point it will not be safe for them to walk down the street. And you guys have seen it. Citizen journalists all over the place, even regular citizens, when they see these people at different restaurants, turning on their camera, recording and asking questions. These people were like, we are there. We're at that point. Again, how many in Washington and those around the world in power worship the devil? You know, we go to Kirill Dmitry, you know, special envoy to Russia. He's been dropping those gems in the chat. If you guys will allow me, let's jump over to Rumble real quick and run an ad for you guys. So let me hit this one. You'll see this populate on the screen. Let me go full screen with me so it makes it a little easier for you guys that want to take a screenshot of the barcode. If you're watching on one of the other platforms, this QR code is not going to populate on the screen, but you can always come over later if you don't want to now and grab it. All right, parents, real talk for a second. America is about to hit a huge milestone. We're coming up on America's 250th birthday, 250 years of freedom, grit, sacrifice, and the greatest experiment in self-government the world has ever seen. This is the perfect moment to help your kids understand why this country matters, not just fireworks and hot dogs, but the story behind it all. There's a free guide. You guys heard that right. A free guide called The Kid's Guide to America's 250th Birthday. And it's honestly a great way to introduce kids to how America began, who the founding fathers were, and what they risked, and what ideas they fought for, and why they still matter today. This guide sends kids back to the moment when brave men signed the Declaration of Independence, knowing full well that they were risking their lives for freedom. It breaks it all down in a way kids can actually understand and enjoy without watering it down or turning it into old boring schoolwork. My apologies. If you care about raising your kids And if you care about them knowing where this country came from and why it's worth preserving, this is something you'll want to grab. And the best part, again, it is completely free with this special offer. You just need to pay $2 for the shipping and postage. Just head to freeusabirthday.com. That's freeusabirthday.com, and the Kids Guide to America's 250th birthday for your kids today. America's story matters. Make sure the next generation knows it. Again, you will see that link if you're watching the replay down in the description of Rumble. If you're watching live, you'll see it there, as well as it is now populated in the live chat. So again, you guys want a piece of that action, you got to come over to Rumble to grab it. And so with that, let's get to one of our sponsors, and we'll come back and we'll keep up with the show.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolis versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
Again, you guys have heard me talk at length about these bad boys right here. If you're not familiar with Pet Club, not just for your pets, also for humans. And if you take it for humans, not just for us, but for our pets, it has been life-changing for me. All right. You know, these definitely helped with those bad boys right there. But let's get into the show. Y'all don't want to see my little muscles anyways. This will wrap up the QComs and all that. And now we're going to kind of move into the Cuban stuff and some of the other South American countries. And then we're going to get into Shills and Ops, which I think you guys will definitely enjoy that part. If you guys haven't done so already, do me a solid. Smash the thumb, hit the heart, leave a comment, and share this out. Nice audience, over 1,400 watching over there on Rumble and over 2,000 watching on the other platforms. We did have a Rumble rant that came in, so let me get to that one. Dollar for dollar, Soar47 says, Alpha can wrap one neuron around this. Alpha is badass. Well, thank you for that, Soar47. And let me just double check to see if there's any super chats, because I don't want to neglect you guys. No super chats. All right, so let's get on with this. So here we have Chanel Ryan. Cuban assets, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass, Congresswoman Barbara Lee, the brilliance of Trump's Cuba gambit no one's talking about. U.S. access to Cuba's intelligence archives and dossiers. J. Michael Waller says, Cuban spies in America on both sides, including anti-communists. Let's take a listen to this.
Once we take control of the Cuban Intelligence Directorate, called the DI, all of its archives going back to 1959, all of its operational files to today, all of its dossiers on everybody, even its management, and continue to pay them, but they're going to work for us now. We can identify the Cuban subversion networks around the world and in our country. We can disrupt them here. We can finally start making arrests, people here who've been embedded in our society as spies and as agents, like, say, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. We've talked about her before. She's, you know, she's been a recruited Cuban agent for half a century, and she was a member of Congress, as was Congresswoman Barbara Lee, a former Congresswoman Barbara Lee, and so many others. And they just don't recruit left-wingers. They've recruited conservatives as well. Wow. Recruited anti-communists as well in the Cuban American movement. So it's widespread. So we can, if we can capture those intelligence services and basically tell the Cuban leaders, you're all going to go spend your rest of your lives in American prisons unless you cooperate with us on everything. I think you're going to see a lot of hearts and minds change right away.
Now, why is this important? I don't want to get ahead of it because it's coming in a few posts from here. But while everybody was focused on what's going on with Iran, all of a sudden the president of Cuba comes out and says, hey, you know, we've considered things and we're going to have conversations with America. It's time for us to make this relationship work. And everybody's like, where did that come from? Again, Trump is a legend at this. Let's keep going because there's some good stuff with this. Eric Dowry reports, breaking: President Trump just got Ecuador to cut off Cuba big time. The FBI has now opened its first office in Ecuador after the country kicked Cuban officials out of the country. Trump and Kash Patel's FBI will now use the office to go after cartels and drug trafficking. This is huge. This is our hemisphere. The communist influences are being obliterated, and the cartels are on notice. And I don't think I grabbed the audio for this one. No, I didn't. I just wanted to make sure. But again, what did I tell you guys? And not just me, my partner Josh as well. And there's been a few others out there that have been pretty solid and on point. When everybody, well, one, we've called the proper order, right? We said, Venezuela was going to happen. Venezuela happened. And then everybody immediately shifted to Iran because they saw where the carrier fleets were going. And we said, no, look to Mexico. You're going to see an operation there, and then have eyes on Colombia and South America. And we're going to see some stuff there, but you're definitely going to see Mexico happen. Then you'll see Iran, and then we're going to bring it back to South America. And that's been happening. Again, I share that because there are a lot of new people to the show, and I want them to understand that the voices that you're listening to on this podcast, we have been consistently accurate. There's shows to document it, and there's posts to document it. I also told you guys, and I even said it on last night's show or on DEF CON with Josh, make sure we're paying attention to Argentina and Chile. And we'll get into that. I believe I have those set up for you guys here as well tonight. Trump came out and told us, he even put it out there. Everybody can go read it. The strategic plan to take over let me be careful with my words. The strategic plan for the Western Hemisphere, right? Not to take over it, but to make sure that this is what our focal point is, right? And I think this has a lot to do with the Sovereign Alliance. We have the threat. If you watched last night's show, we have the threat that exists on our back door with Canada. We have the threat that exists on our porch with Mexico, with the cartels, with the RGC, with these CCP soldiers. Like it's there. And what you're seeing Trump do is he's taking control of the entire Western Hemisphere. Not, becoming a dictator to these other countries, but making sure that these other countries are free from the globalist apparatus, free from the deep state, so that these countries can actually operate with their neighbors. So South America can operate with Central America and with North America, so that the Western Hemisphere sees each other as, hey, we're allies. We don't have to be against each other, especially when the deep state apparatus is removed. And that's what we're seeing. And now we're getting into the picture of Cuba. And this is really important, especially for those of you that have really followed the JFK story, even gone down some of the JFK rabbit holes. This is important, folks. And the reason being, if you look at this from a military strategy, if there was going to be a war, an actual kinetic war that was going to be brought against the United States, whoever that adversary is would want to have the ability to have ground troops. And what is Trump doing? He's forging relationships, whether it's voluntarily or through voluntold. He's forging these relationships through South America. He got control of the Panama Canal, and he's ridding the cartels because the cartels are the muscle for the deep state globalists. And so again, what you're seeing here is Trump positioning the chessboard so that if you're going to come attack us, you're going to have to do it through ships and air, and we're going to be able to fight you on that because we're going to see you coming. You're not going to sit here and create camps like you've been doing throughout the entire Americas, including our country. Because again, through Biden's administration, we had that infiltration. That's what you're seeing Trump doing. This is not just a deportation operation. This is the undoing of a military deployment into our country. Just in case you weren't aware of that. Let's keep pushing on. Want to get this show. I was shooting for 2 hours. We're not going to hit that 2 hour mark, folks, but hopefully we nail it at 2.5 hours. That's what we're shooting for now. Rep. Carlos A. Jimenez puts breaking: the people of Cuba have just set fire to the Communist Party's headquarters in the eastern town of Moran. The Cuban people have had enough of the brutal dictatorship. Why is this important? Well, let me remind you. Before any strategic strikes happen in Iran, weren't we seeing videos like this in Iran? Is this an indicator that we'll see military strikes in Cuba? Or did the Cuban president already know that this was coming and he was next? And he was like, all right, we capitulate. And that's why he put out that video. Either way, it's a win for us. And it's a win for the Cuban people as well, and the Americas. But I wanted to point that to you guys because remember, it's all about patterns. President Trump says Iran's electrical power grid could be taken out by the U.S. within 1 hour, and it would take 25 years to rebuild. This was on the 12th. He's talking about Iran. Let's take a listen to this because I do have this for you, and it's real quick anyways.
We can hit sections of Tehran and other places that, if you do it, it'll be almost impossible for them to rebuild their country. And we don't want that. But we can hit electric, we could take apart their electric capacity within 1 hour, and it would take them 25 years to rebuild it. So ideally, we're not going to be doing that.
I had to send a message to my little princess real quick. She's like, Dad, are you done yet? So like, no. Let's keep pushing. So here's what's important. Again, he can take the power out, right? Where did we see the power go out? Well, will you imagine that? But we saw the power go out in Cuba. Cuba announces total electricity blackout in the entire country. This was 2 days ago. It's today the 18th. So yeah, 2 days ago. I mean, this coincidence could be. I don't think so. Then, if this wasn't enough winning going on in South America, yes, folks, Inside Paper reports the U.S. Embassy in Venezuela raises the American flag for the first time in 7 years. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Where else are we going to see that? Let's keep rolling. The Criminal Division reports United States arrests alleged Tren de Agua leader charged in Chile. Who's saying pay attention to Chile and Argentina? I don't know. Maybe a guy. With criminal association, extortion, and kidnapping resulting in homicide. This illegal alien from Venezuela is the alleged leader of the foreign terrorist organization TDA, said Todd Blanche. While in the United States, he was convicted of human smuggling and is accused by Chile of heinous violent crimes. This man is a clear public safety threat and should never have been in this country, but re-entered the United States illegally under the Biden administration. Justice Department, along with our federal and international partners, will continue to put safety and security first. And again, there's the meme documented that. And again, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. But we're not done. We said, right? It's official. Chile's new right-wing president, Jose Cos, just moved to surge construction of a border wall to keep illegal migrants out of his country. He's taking Donald Trump's route. Awesome. Nationalism is rising in the Americas. So hold on, folks. You know, there's this guy, this podcast, Alpha. He's been telling us, the last 2.5 weeks or so, pay attention. Pay attention to Argentina. Pay attention to Chile. Look at some of these countries. And remember what I said? I go, don't look for combat with Argentina and Chile. Some of the other ones, yes. But with Argentina and Chile, I said specifically, look for things that identify a relationship of things coming with President Trump. And now we literally have Chile saying, we're going to build a wall. And again, this goes into a whole separate conversation that has to do with what's really important. And why did I say Chile and Argentina? Because this has to do with the very southern tip of South America, folks. That's all we need to know about now. We'll get into that conversation later. But I will say this, the conversation in Greenland and the conversation of Argentina and Chile are the same conversation. So let's push on. General Flynn comes out and says the time for waiting is over. Just to put this in context, this was from 5 days ago on the 13th. The time for waiting is over right here at home. Right now, we must hold these people accountable, not tomorrow, not after the next election cycle, now, because if we don't, they will not go away. They will regroup, resurface, and come at American people harder than before. This is the moment. History demands actions. And it's only 30 seconds, but I want you guys to hear the general's voice on this.
We are in a moment of history right now that I think if we don't cross some T's and dot some I's right now, never mind what John Solomon just said, but what we're doing over in the Middle East, what we're doing in Venezuela, Europe, but particularly right here at home, if we don't get this right, if we don't hold these people accountable, they will not go away and they will come at us even harder. And that's what I want Trump and his team to focus on.
Again, the precipice. You're getting. Doesn't matter what side you're on, whether you're pro-Trump or you're not pro-Trump, liberal, pretenders, MAGA. The one consistent attitude, I don't want to say emotion, attitude, is that everybody, and I've talked to people, like I said, I've infiltrated some of these chats on the other side, right? Yeah, I got to pretend like I'm some crazy liberal. It sucks. But the one thing that everybody's feeling is everybody feels on edge. So just understand, this is not just MAGA and America First that feels like it, right? Probably not you guys, because like I said, you guys are aware of what's going on. But as a whole, MAGA, America First, Republican Party feels on edge. But just understand, so does the other side. Like everybody's kind of not right now, like some shit's gonna pop off. And again, we want to make sure that we have the conversation of concern, but that we don't create chaos. Chaos is our enemy, right? Chaos is going to lead to despair. Despair is the weapon that's utilized against morale. Morale is a weapon. And so just remember, that's kind of what we're hinting at now. This will end that. And now we're going to get into the part of Shills and ops. And I'm going to blend these two parts together. I was going to kind of have them separated, but we're going to roll. So the vast majority of the rest of this show is going to be dedicated to this. Bad hombre. Some of you like him, some of you don't. But he comes out and he says, these people are addicted to setting themselves up for disappointment. What are we talking about? Let me click on this, bring it up on the screen, make it a little bit bigger for you guys to see. And it actually is still small. Let me see if I can zoom in on this for you guys. No, not going to work that way. So let me try this, folks. Let me open it in a new tab. There we go. And then let me zoom in on it. There we go. Much better. So you have Anna comes out. So did they kill Netanyahu? You have John Bouchard starting to think Netanyahu is dead. Kim.com, man, that guy's flown off the fucking deep end lately. This is such a clusterfuck for Trump. What if Netanyahu's dead? And again, it's there. All of them. Red Pill Media, Netanyahu, UFO hunters. Like everybody's coming out and pushing that narrative. And in the end, he's not. We've covered that at length. But again, why do they put out this information when they know that the information is false? Again, they're not trying to put out the truth. They're trying to attack morale. The whole understanding and I know some of this sounds like a broken record, but it's important. And I want to make sure that I'm not just talking to talk, but that we actually understand what I'm trying to communicate here. What we're talking about here is information warfare, 5th generation warfare / getting into the realm of 6th generation warfare, right? And in fifth generation warfare, words matter, narratives matter. And so when they come out, is Netanyahu dead and Trump's effed up and all this, what is that doing? It's an agenda to attack the information warfare. For what reason? It's to create despair, to attack the morale, because then that makes people to start to pull away from their support of President Trump. It's to create, doubt, because if people have doubt, then when the conversation is like Joe Kent coming out saying Trump lied about Iran being an imminent threat, people are just their mood is shot. They've been kicked so many times that they're just like, yeah, everything else has been falling apart. And then it creates this attitude of loss. The second you adopt that mentality, you are done. This country is done. And that's why we have to combat these narratives. That's why we have to combat, one of the things we'll have at the end, there's a video, and it's a video that I'm going to be playing. It's Benny Johnson and Bongino. And I agree with what they're saying for the general public. And I'll talk more about it, or I'll talk about it again as we get to that final video to end the show. But I will say I do have a different message that I'm going to give to the proactive warriors, because it's the opposite of what Benny and Bongino are going to be talking about. Again, I'll address that when we get to that part of the show. But again, right here, this is trying to attack morale with misinformation in order to create despair, because despair leads to doubt. and doubt is the way you subvert the support for the president. Nathan Livingstone, Milk Bar TV puts this out, and I will play this video. Let me play the video, and then we'll go through what he prompted. Listen, folks, I liked Tucker a lot. I would argue even I loved the guy with the content he did in the years. But again, betrayal and division and infiltration goes a long way. Let's not forget who Tucker's father was. But this is one video that's showing different clips, what Tucker's reporting and what Trump said. Because I could sit here all day and tell you, listen, Tucker sold out, Tucker's burning us. And you're going to be like, all right, that's your opinion, Alpha. I still like Tucker. Well, then I want you to hear these words for yourself, and I want you to hear the truth of what was actually said. And then if you want to continue to support Tucker after that, well, that's your prerogative. It's America. It's a free country. But you're knowingly doing it with the truth that was put in front of you.
The president of the United States today said on camera, we're thinking about using nukes against Iran. He said we could eliminate Iran, make it uninhabitable forever in an hour. We have weapons that can do that. Well, those are nuclear weapons. The president of the United States is saying out loud, if this gets more intense, we could nuke them.
What more do you need to do militarily for this operation to end?
More of the same, and we'll see how that all comes out. Right now, they've lost their Navy, they've lost their Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft apparatus at all, they have no radar, their leaders are gone, and we could do a lot worse to one another. We're leaving certain things that if we take them out, or we could take them out by this afternoon, in fact, within an hour, they literally would never be able to build that country back.
And again, there's been very little attempt to convince you that we did this in America's national interest. The Secretary of State just came out and said we did it because Israel forced our hand.
You told us that Israel was going to strike Iran and that's why we needed to get involved. Today, the president said that Iran was going to get
Yeah, your statement is false. I told you this had to happen anyway. The president made a decision, and the decision he made was that Iran was not going to be allowed to hide behind its ballistic missile program, that Iran was not going to be allowed to hide behind its ability to conduct these attacks. That decision had been made. The president systematically made a decision to systematically destroy this terroristic capability that they had, and we carried that out. I was very clear in that answer. This was a question of timing, of why this had to happen as a joint operation, not the question of the intent. Once the president made a decision that negotiations were not going to work, that they were playing us on the negotiations, and that this was a threat that was untenable, the decision was made to strike them. That's what I said yesterday, and you guys need to play it. If you're going to play these statements, you need to play the whole statement, not clip it to reach a narrative that you want to do, all right?
I mean, how do you argue that, folks? I would love for somebody to sit here and argue that Tucker didn't misrepresent. We could argue whether his intent was there, but the fact is he absolutely misrepresented those statements. And why? So let's just read the first part of what Nathan put here. Watch Tucker Carlson twist Trump and Rubio's statements to sell his Iran narrative, pure propaganda. What Tucker claims Trump said on camera: we're thinking about using nukes against Iran. The president of the United States just said out loud that if it gets more intense, we could nuke them. What Trump actually said when asked about more military needs to be done in Iran was more of the same, and that he is leaving certain things he did not say. He was thinking about using nukes, as Tucker claimed. And again, folks, whether you like Tucker or you don't like Tucker, that's evidence. It's evidence that he misrepresented something. That's an agenda. Again, we got a lot of videos now, so I'll make my commentary. I'll try to keep it minimized because some of these clips are fairly long, and I want to make sure we get to all of them. Erica puts, we ride at dawn, says the woman who won't leave her basement to even take care of her own children while lying about a widow for 6 months straight. What a complete joke they are. Now, what is Erica talking about here? She's talking about Candace Owens' posts. These people are upping the ante on their rhetoric. Candace Owens puts, if they come for Tucker, we ride at dawn. Really nothing else to say here. We're not doing the gulags 2.0 with these Bolshevik descendants. And that's a response to Tucker putting out the statement that I talked about earlier in the show. When you discover the CIA has been reading your text in order to frame you for a crime. listen, folks, there are a bunch of crazies that follow these people. 70% of their audience is probably just, misinformed, probably have good intentions. They probably believe that Candace and Tucker are telling the truth, and they've fallen for it, even though, and I still put it out there, I've challenged people, $100, 24 hours, just give me one item of evidence. Don't send me a video link. Don't say if you know, you know. Don't say, send me one item of evidence that proves what Candace has said about the assassination against Charlie Kirk and TPUSA's involvement in Erica Kirk's. And nobody's done it. I mean, who don't want $100? I'm not asking for 20 things, for one. One that's evidence, not speculation, not opinion. Nobody's done it. But again, there are people that follow these people that are absolutely nuts. And let's just say the FBI goes and picks up Tucker Carlson, arrests him, pulls him in for questioning. And one of these crazies says, I remember what Candace says. This is it. This is that moment. I need to go strap some, dangerous devices to my body and go do something stupid because this is how we defend our country. Like, there are some wacky, crazy ass people that think that. And that kind of rhetoric is what instigates it. Trust me, I got some crazies that follow me. Can you imagine the millions that follow Candace and the millions that follow Tucker? Jacoby puts this, MTG and Tucker Carlson, Iran isn't trying to build nuclear weapons. Netanyahu is warmongering. The deputy speaker of the Iranian parliament, we tried to develop nuclear weapons, but couldn't keep it a secret. So I'm going to go full screen with this, and then I will read it to you. I'm not going to do the audio because it's not like we understand what he says. Anyways, so we kill the volume there. When we first entered nuclear activities, our real goal was to build a bomb. No point denying it. You mean the goal really was to make a bomb? Yes, 100%. Whose goal? Damn, that went fast. Let me rewind it. Certain individuals or the whole system? He responds, the whole system, everyone who started this. The real goal was to build a bomb. We had started and we wanted to go all the way. If we could keep it secret and test the bomb, it would be over, just like Pakistan. Once we began, we had to finish it. What you're saying, or we've never heard such things officially before. Won't what you're saying affect the negotiations? No one pays attention to what I say. Foreigners will eventually find out anyway. Again, just to recap, that's the deputy speaker of the Iranian parliament. So you got Tucker and MTG out there saying, no, Iran wasn't trying to do this. And then you have the deputy speaker of the Iranian parliament that came out and acknowledged, yeah, it's cat's out of the bag. He knows propaganda is going to push it one way or the other. What's the point? We got a Rumble rant came in from Sue Grant. $50. Wow. Thank you for that. Holy smoke. You guys take care of me, man. I love you guys. Sue Grant says, thanks for all you do for this community. I appreciate your perspective, insights, and passion. And thank you for that. While I'm doing that, let me check YouTube just to see if there's any super chats that are in there because I don't want to miss you guys. Nope, no super chats. All right, so we're good, solid. All right, let's carry on to the next one. Now, Ryan, this is a long one, so I will play this clip for you guys, and then we'll talk about it afterwards. This is the longest clip of the show. It's almost 5 minutes, but it's important, so take a listen.
There are two losers today as Trump runs his victory lap in the Israel peace deal, China and the anti-Israel MAGA crowd. But when I'm done, you'll understand these two groups may well be one and the same. Just to recap, in case there's any confusion as to who the enemy is and who our friends are in this Israel-Hamas story, here's the Muslim Brotherhood in 1990, the group that has vowed to destroy both Israel and America.
We do not want to melt into American society and disappear. We want to go into American society with Islamic ideals and revamp their thinking. We want to revamp them. We want to turn them into Muslim.
Look at Obama's inner circle. Valerie Jarrett, whose family seemed to be Muslim Brotherhood stakeholders. Ariane Tabatabai, who snuck her way into top positions inside the DoD only to be caught sneaking messages to the Iranians on ways to oppose Israel. To this day, these same figures are still floating around Washington. And this is why you have places like Dearborn, Michigan, subjecting its residents to 5 calls to prayer a day. There is one country, besides the United States, fighting all of this: Israel. In turn, there is not a country in the world that loves Trump and his America First movement more across political spectrums than Israel. Yet, the primary voices opposing Israel was not Muslim Brotherhood, not CNN, not an Arab nation. It was coming from here within the ranks amongst a group that calls itself MAGA. It's a crowd, you'll notice, in D.C. who doesn't really hang out with the Trump inner circle, but they do seem to talk to Politico, pretending to represent the MAGA mind. They are the anti-Israel crowd that seems to cling to Vice President Vance's circle, putting all their eggs in the basket that Vance will be president. But today was a devastating blow to that particular crowd. Why? Because Trump established in front of the world he is, again, the true voice of America First. And America First doesn't mean America with blinders on. So to whom does this anti-Israel MAGA crowd turn for spin comfort today? Normally they would have to turn to CNN or MSNBC, but today their greatest source of comfort was none other than Steve Bannon, who took the following spin to save face.
Bibi clearly was icy. This is a catastrophic defeat for the Israel First crowd.
Here's Bibi Netanyahu nominating Trump for the highest award his country can possibly give.
I have submitted your nomination to be the first non-Israeli recipient of the Israel Prize, Israel's highest award. As to that other prize, just a question of time, you'll get it. But I want you to get the Israel Prize, our highest award. Donald Trump is the greatest friend that the state of Israel has ever had in the White House.
Bannon even went so far as to say Trump and Netanyahu didn't shake hands. CNN and MSNBC provided a more honest assessment of what happened today than the Bannon war room. Let that sink in. Now, I respect Bannon, but not on this issue. I'm calling it out. As should others I know feel this way too, but they are somehow afraid. Don't know why. Here's what the war room crowd refuses to acknowledge. This peace deal Trump just brokered will go down in history, will go down in Trump's mind as one of his greatest accomplishments as President of the United States. And Bannon's sworn enemy, remember, Jared Kushner, was a huge part of making today's victory a reality. But Trump, the founding father of America First, knows America First includes the posture where the enemies of Israel are the enemies of America. And Trump has made it clear, America First does not mean what Marjorie Taylor Greene says it is. America First is not what Steve Bannon says it is. It's not what Candace Owens or Nick Fuentes says it is. President Trump has established that America First means renaming the Department of Defense the Department of War. America First means killing and eliminating all who threaten America First. Trump is making Europeans pay for their own endless wars. We'll see that. But when it comes to radical Islam, that is a war we will fight. And Palestine was the proxy agent for radical Islam in the world. So take note, who sides with Palestine in opposition to Israel?
So, regardless of where you stand with your position of Israel, you know, whether you're pro or you're against or you're some type of hybrid concept, still there's things to be articulated there. You know, Bannon went and made some statements that weren't true. Why? But Sandy's in the chat articulated the point here perfectly. So I want to give you a shout out, Sandy's. She said, President Trump has everyone discombobulated and confused. They don't know who's bad or good, guys. LOL. And I will tell you, Sandy's, even in the networks behind the curtain amongst a lot of my peers, right? all the different social media platforms. There are so many people. There are a few that aren't, but I would say 98% of the podcasters that I know out there, the ex-influencers, content creators, whatever damn title it is, are just like, what the hell's going on? This guy's good, but then why is he hanging out with these bad people? These bad people are saying good things. CNN's telling the truth. Holy shit. Who had that on their bingo card for early 2026? We did. If you were watching this show, I said it, recently. I said it a few months ago. You're going to see mainstream media start to report the truth. Not totally, not every show, not every news representation, but you're going to start seeing them deliver the truth on some major things. Why? Again, that's going to get into the Smith-Muck conversation that we end the show with tonight. But because the white hats, whether people want to acknowledge or not, are leveraging. They're using their infiltration into the Mockingbird media to make sure that certain information has come out. Right? You look at it as in a virtual deployment of an explosive on their side of the information trenches. Right? Oh, you guys thought you did that one? Well, here we're going to nail you with this one. Like that is what's going on. And ultimately, that is going to, this confusion that a lot of podcasters don't want to acknowledge is going to bleed out into, this digital sphere of where Trump's going to finally come in and say, this is what we're going to do. So just understand, and that's why I said earlier, controlled confusion, controlled operations, controlled chaos. These are things that you're going to see are deployed. But controlled chaos is dangerous because all it takes is one variable to be misjudged and it becomes uncontrollable. And then once that happens, the outcome is you can't predict it no more. And now you have to revert back to contingencies, and those contingencies aren't going to be for something good. So, but you are going to see controlled confusion, misinformation, disinformation. Again, Illinois' Donnie, I think, is IL Donnie, says controlled discombobulation. Yes, that's what you're seeing right now. Controlled discombobulation, right? 2026, right? I survived the discombobulation. Somebody make the shirt, send me one. If you don't want to send it, yes, I'll buy it. You got me. Let's keep going on because, again, we got a couple of these. Wall Street Ape says, John Solomon tells Benny Johnson, we're about to learn that China infiltrated voter ID databases in multiple states and influenced our elections. Let's take a listen to this. It's about a minute.
Your take on Maricopa County. You're saying that what's going to happen is we're going to find out the Chinese had a major heavy hand in rigging election? What's your take on the raid yesterday in Maricopa?
Yeah, it wasn't really a raid. It was a grand jury subpoena, but they grabbed the stuff. There will be some search warrants executed in the coming days based on my reporting. They're looking at, in Maricopa County, it's a very technical thing, just like it was in Georgia. Did you follow state law? Because if you didn't administer a federal election as it was supposed to be under state law, you can be charged federally. It's just about doing the right thing and following the law. But above that, not in Maricopa County, not in Fulton County, there is an extraordinary review going on by the CIA director, the FBI director, the director of national intelligence, so Tulsi Gabbard, John Radcliffe, and Kash Patel. They have found a body of documents that I think will trouble all of us and probably will have a profound effect on the Senate debate over the Save America Act. A lot of senators are sitting up there saying, I don't know if I need to vote for this. I don't know what the politics is. Wait a second. When they find out that maybe voter identities in their state databases were penetrated by China and used in influence operations, that may change their mind. And so I think the debate in the Senate could be informed by what comes out in the next few weeks.
Oh, fascinating. Oh, that's so interesting.
And yes, you did hear that right. John Solomon did say that information would be used in influence operations. Solomon was deployed in one of the spaces of one of my friends by a guy that's been around for a minute, but I know where he's coming from. He ain't pulling the wool over nobody's eyes, but lots of influence operations. But let me just highlight this one particular paragraph because it's important. John Solomon, quote, it wasn't really a raid, it was a grand jury subpoena, but they grabbed the stuff. There'll be some search warrants executed in the coming days based on my reporting. They're looking in Maricopa County. It's a very technical thing. So we're talking machines? Are we talking ballots? Well, the answer to that is most definitely yes, because now we've realized that the update on this is their ballot boxes missing a lot. Is Arizona the first domino? I will tell you this, from two different sources, working two different things, but both are running in Arizona, and which that's what that tells me is, one obviously is looking into the fraud of Act Blue and mortgage fraud, and the other one is looking into the evidence machines. But the thing is, they're all both operating in Arizona at the same time. From my background, that's called a RICO, baby. RICO, baby, RICO. RICO me harder, daddy. Like, that's what that is. And I'm so damn excited about. That's one that I am going to brag about. Because I called it out before Tulsi Gabbard ever even mentioned it. There's a RICO case going on. And then when Tulsi acknowledged it, I think it was within 3 to 4 days, I told everybody, you know what? There's multiple RICO cases going on. Then we got that. So I'll tell you what, I am going to say the RICO king on this one, because I called that, and you guys know it. We called that out before anybody was talking about it. And that's what we're seeing here from that whole conversation, but definitely from that paragraph. Mr. Red Pills, Joke Army puts, Chinese gunmen in cartels are working with Chinese gangs in the U.S. This one's not as exciting. This one's more scary. But listen to this, folks. Again, not to push fear porn, but to make sure that we're aware of what's going on our soil.
Chinese gunmen in flak vests going up to ranchers' gates with AKs, and now we're on water restrictions from the drought. The ranchers are so depleted with underground water for the illegal cannabis that these Chinese groups are doing all around them. They're not having water for their crops. They can't raise their livestock, and they're getting told by these grower groups coming up to them at their gate like in an evening and going, you might see your water disappear. Don't make a problem of it. And you and your granddaughter, there's a picture, might be okay. Wow. But you know what bothered me? Why did the Mexican cartels just give up on it? I know it's not as lucrative as fentanyl because it's bigger, it's less money, and human trafficking, but they still made a ton of money. And then I learned that Sinaloa and Jalisco aren't only working like parallel with the Chinese triads and all these Chinese grows in multiple states now, they're actually working together. They've collaborated to the point where the Chinese are laundering Sinaloa and Jalisco's money for no fee. That's a little bigger than just cannabis black market dollars.
There's only one thing scarier than a massive criminal group is two massive criminal groups. Or three working together from different nationalities.
And they're getting along amazingly. And the other thing was, Chinese said, hey, we'll provide precursors for P2P, super meth, and for fentanyl, but give us the weed trade. And that's just been a harmonious thing that's been exponentially growing the last 4 or 5 years, if not longer.
What's the biggest takeaway here? Again, that when we went out and told you guys that the cartels are working with the CCP, that this is not hyperbole. This is not conspiracy. This is a big deal. When we go all the way back to the immigration, the quote unquote immigration crisis, which we know was a military deployment into this country, who was the one handing these books out with people on what to say and where to go along the Darien Gap? That was the Chinese. Who do you think was funding all these people coming from these different parts of the world that absolutely hate us? The globalists and the CCP. Well, so is the globalists and the CCP two different enemies? Or are they one and the same? I think the picture on that's starting to look like maybe they're not different. And maybe if we start looking at what we've learned from Operation Gladio, maybe if we start to look at who is behind, what's going on in the banks of London, and we start to look at those relationships and what they meant to Iran and to Venezuela, and then we look at Venezuela and Iran being the two large countries that were giving sanctioned oil to China through proxy or through shell companies, because ultimately what this is all about is an energy war, because this is really about an artificial intelligence war. Because if the good guys get it, there's prosperity for humanity. But if the bad guys get it, it's enslavement that can't be defeated outside an act of God. Do you kind of see how that picture starts to look with all the confusion, the discombobulation that everybody's trying to put out there? It's this group with the curly sideburns. It's this group with the freaking pizza things on their head. It's at the surface level, but who's pulling the strings? That's what we're building up to, folks. And I think the one thing that Trump will do is be very clear. I think we will all have, at the end of this, or during the process of the darkest part of this, Trump is going to make sure we all understand who the enemy is. He is, in my opinion, he's not going to utilize very controversial weapons like the Insurrection Act or martial law, or put us into the conversations of posse comitatus, without us all not only understanding who the enemy is, but understanding that there is no alternative to those decisions. And hopefully we're doing our part with these shows. President Trump, our base 100, put a picture of President Trump right there. And what is it? Prime Minister Takaichi selects the USA as Japan's primary supplier of oil and energy. I mean, just in case you all think I'm full of shit, you know what I mean? Because there's a couple of you. I get some nasty. I get great emails, but I get some nasty grams too. Here's one of the things, folks. This is the strategic chessboard in play. Right there, you're seeing it. So now that we kind of got the larger portion of these influencer ops, with regards to like Tucker and Bannon, we're going to get more into the field operatives of the shill, or maybe operatives war. Again, some of you might like these people, and you're probably not going to like some of the things that I show and say, but I would challenge you to prove me wrong. The comments are down below for you to do that. And just so you guys know, I would never, actually, we're going to be, I did already pick one moderator here on Rumble. I'd like to have 2 more on Rumble. And I'd like to have 3 on YouTube. So if you're interested in something like that, please reach out to me. But I do want to make it clear, and my moderators will understand this too. I will never ban people for coming in here and sharing a different position. Now, if you come in here and you're disrespectful about it, you come in here and you attack my audience, or you come in here and you try to spam and be a distraction, I will tell them to give you 1 warning. And then if you do it again, it will be a forever ban. I don't do just a live show. It will be a forever ban. Like, you're never going to be welcome back. Maybe you become a better person later on. Great, find another podcast. But that's how things are going to operate here. Because I understand, the live chat on all these different platforms, that's a show within a show. Lots of great information that's put in there, links and stuff. And just so you guys know too, I have no issue with you guys sharing your own personal links. Just don't spam it. Don't throw it in there 20 times. You know what I mean? If you want to do it at the front end of the show and you want to drop it in at the later part of the show, no, grow. Let my audience find, other places of information. So I'm not one of those people that's like, don't promote yourself, right? No, absolutely. You guys work hard. So again, just don't spam it, and don't be weird about it. Don't be a creeper. But again, let's get into that show part now. And again, if you guys want to be a moderator on YouTube, or you want to be a moderator on Rumble, please reach out. I need 2 more on Rumble. I need 3 on YouTube. New mission. President Trump appoints Erica Kirk to serve on the U.S. Air Force Academy Board of Visitors, taking the position her late husband, Charlie, was slated to hold before he was assassinated in September. Now Erica joins the panel that oversees morale, discipline, and curriculum and fiscal affairs at the Academy. Now, there are different perspectives to look at this, right? There is the deep state position of, this is why they took him out, because she wanted to orchestrate control. Or there's the position of, why wouldn't they? This was what was seated for her husband, who was assassinated. He has taken control of TPUSA to carry on his mission, and she has that same working relationship with Trump now. It absolutely makes sense, but people have panicked. So I wanted to provide that perspective there, because that's going to kind of kick off where we're going, right? Laura Luma comes out, regardless of whether you like her or not. Listen to what she's saying here. And let me just respond to this message real quick, because it's important. Give me 1 second, folks. This is a live show, and when important things come in, I gotta acknowledge this. So my apologies. I try not to stay too distracted in them, but I also got to make sure that We're fighting for the country, right? We are. So regardless of whether you like Loomer or not, this post here is pretty important. She goes, hi, and tags Candace. Since everything is a conspiracy to you, let me explain this. Before Charlie Kirk was assassinated in September, he had been selected by President Trump to serve on the Air Force Academy board last year. Erica is the right person to fill Charlie's place on the board and continue his work of inspiring the next generation of service members and advancing the academy. End of quote from Rep. August Puffer, Representative Texas said. Charlie was appointed. He is now dead. So to honor him, his wife is taking the spot. Not everything is conspiracy. And at the end of this, I was going to do it now, but I think it's better if I do it at the end of this. I'll offer you my perspective on why there's these attacks against Erica. And some of you may like my perspective. Some of you may not. But again, it's my perspective. We all can have one, right? Jay comes out and says, F Candace Owens, F anyone that continues to promote and follow her. Erica Kirk's mom is dying of cancer and is extremely ill. This is what Candace says. Now, you're going to understand why he probably chose to use the rhetoric he did. So let me bring this up. Candace Owens puts, Lori is a fraud like the daughter she raised. This woman even divorced her third husband on paper only because she wanted to achieve business contracts designated for independent females. Larry Guinta and her are still together. He takes care of her. Every person who knows Lori describes her as vile and as someone who is willing to do anything for money and power. The curated videos of her in a wheelchair were likely directed by her. For the record, the influencers who were instructed to tell you Lori had terminal cancer were lying. There's not a shred of truth to that. Lori fashioned Erica's mind. She is crucial to understanding what Erica is. So let's just immediately move into the next post. Britta puts, Candace Owens can't stop attacking Erica Kirk's ailing mother. She subtweeted, Lori Frantz is a fraud. The curated videos of her in a wheelchair were likely directed by her. I mean, that is a hell of a statement for Candace to make with no evidence. I mean, to me, it looks like she has like Parkinson's or something like that. I mean, there's something going on. Like the woman obviously looks very ill. I don't know if she's dying, but she looks very ill. And to say that she choreographed these statements or these videos, I'm sorry, folks, but that description that Candace put out, she should look in the mirror. You want to talk about someone who would do anything for power? I mean, damn, to me, that's what that actually looks like. And again, for those who are like, Candace didn't really put it, there's her actual post. So I went and grabbed the post, so you just didn't have to rely on screenshots. Screenshots can be manipulated. So there's Candace's actual post right there. So you know that is legitimate. Josh Dumblett puts, Candace Owens, the moment I seen this guy, referencing President Trump, at Charlie Kirk's funeral, I was immediately sickened by him. I think we can all officially say Candace Owens is officially not MAGA anymore. This is going to make you mad, but I want you guys to hear it with your own ears, see it with your own eyes.
All right, you guys, Trump has completely and utterly just betrayed America, the American people. It's very obvious that Tel Aviv is running DC, and it's taken me a long time to process that and to find the words to say what I want to say to Trump. I was, from the moment I saw him on stage at Charlie Kirk's funeral, sickened by him and seeing what's happening in Iran and seeing him go against every promise that he ever made. You have every right to be disgusted with him, and I want to share some choice words for this administration, as well as just taking a look at the broader picture of what's happening right now. Who's actually running the world? The things that you thought were not possible are definitively happening right now. Freemasons involved in occult magic. So join us at the link below and hear what it is that I have wanted to say to Trump for a very long time.
What I've wanted to say to Trump for a very long time. I told you she was never MAGA. I told you she never supported Trump. You want to talk about an infiltrator? This is infiltration, folks. I mean, this woman has routinely lied about the president. Let's keep going, though, because we got a lot. And I want to wrap this up here in the next 20 minutes or so. Holy shit. This comes from Cinema Shogun. He's been doing great work in keeping tabs on this. Candace Owens caught red-handed reading from a teleprompter. Candace slipped up big time and forgot her lines. She doesn't even know which words are hers or not. So who's writing the script? We all used to clown Joe Biden for this stuff like this all the time. Candace doesn't get a pass. No, she doesn't. So I'm going to go ahead and show this to you guys.
She thanks her in this article. The quote reads, "We have formed a partnership with the Antonio Placement Center in Constanta. And as we promised, we are doing everything possible to take this friendship further for the benefit of Romanian children. We fell in love with these children and with the idea of repeated help over time. So we included this action in our list of international initiatives. I am happy to collaborate with United Hands Romania Association and Renee Crossman, the president of this organization, but also with the representatives of the Antonio Placement Center." Okay. She says, "Truly thank you to the many Romanians who sent," sorry, that's me. So like I said, you guys, thank you very much for sending me all of those articles. And it allowed me.
It's funny when it happens. That's not one of those things that's the end of the world. But again, when she says she doesn't, well, that's kind of proven not true. So this one, on the other hand, is very important. This one comes from Paramount Tactical, Gary Melton. I've had him on the show before. Great guy, solid dude. I like the work that he does. Candace just lies, and the lemmings gobble it all up. Listen to what this woman has to say right here, folks.
I'm not even through the entire Candace episode for tonight, but I had to stop to make this video because I have to show you guys just how nefarious these connections and links that she's making to Erica Kirk are, and just how much proof this is that she knows exactly what she is doing, because this is such low-tier journalism that it is not even funny.
Let's begin with an interesting update. So yesterday and the day before, we began breaking the news story, and in particular, Erica's involvement with Epstein's favorite modeling agency, Faith Kate's Next Modeling Management, a Rothschild spinout. We broke a story that her dealings with them involved real estate in some capacity. Erica Bronste was, as we were told, the point person for the firm when it came to housing young models. More specifically, Erica dealt with apartments in a white building. They had remembered that that white building was located somewhere near 68th Street between 2nd and 3rd Avenue. Check out this article, which was published by the New York Post. It reads, in part, "Exposed," this is the title, "inside the New York City condo building where Jeffrey Epstein secretly kept his underage victims." Elsewhere in the article, we learned that, quote, one victim had previously described arriving at the building and being shown a small apartment stocked with domestic comforts. She says, "I remember the apartment clearly," she said in her 2022 account. "It was relatively small, and there was Dannon yogurt in the fridge and a basket of fruit and cookies on the counter."
Something told me to go find that New York Post article that she was showing. And here's the section of that article that she showed with the anonymous quote from a victim where she's describing this modeling apartment, right? You see how part of that is in red? That means that it's a clickable link. That means it's going to take you to another article that normally is going to give you more details. Here's the article that it takes you to. It in fact brings you to this Daily Mail article. And that's where you find out that the victim that's being quoted in the New York Post article is in fact Teresa Helm, who is now 42 years old, who describes that these events happened with Epstein in 2002 when she was 22 years old. Erica Kirk was born in 1988. So in 2002, depending on the time of year, she was 13 or possibly 14 years old, living in Arizona and nowhere near New York City. Candace Owens is an absolute fraud. There is no way that someone with the platform that Candace has and the amount of people that she has working for her to do research would not be able to make the simple connection that I just did. I have no college degree. I have no journalism experience at all. I simply have a brain and common sense in my head. And I was able to figure this out, which tells me that she is doing this fully and completely aware that it is deceptive reporting. She knows exactly what she's doing. Stop falling for it.
Made the point. I don't even have to add anything to it other than that's not the only time. You know, a lot of these people, as a matter of fact, the one we're going to get into right now, let me just bring it up on the screen. Project Constitution. He puts out, well, before we get into the correction, let's show it how it's keep it in order for those of you that are not aware. Project Constitution puts out this original post on March 13th. The smoking gun. Now, remember, this is one of Candace Owens' simps, right? Project Constitution, Diligent Girly. These are all the simps, right? These are all the puppets for Candace, right? Ian Carroll, all these guys, they do her bidding. He created these psychopaths when it comes to TPUSA and Erica Kirk, right? And so Project Constitution comes out and says the smoking gun leaked DOJ wiretap audio captures Erica Kirk scheduling underage girls for Epstein. Now, most people are lazy and just read that and like, oh, repost, right? That's unfortunately the culture of social media operates that way. That's a very dangerous allegation to put against someone with no evidence. All right, this is not, hey, I speculate, hey, this might be the smoking gun, right? Let's go on. I've been sent a bombshell audio file and I have verified its authenticity. Remember these words from when we go to part 2. This is a recorded phone call from the DOJ's own website, hidden in plain sight within the released Epstein files dataset 9. The direct link is posted below for anyone to check in. The audio captures a young girl who is clearly an informant for the DOJ on a recorded call with Erica Kirk. You can hear the DOJ agents coaching the girl before and after the call. This was their second attempt to get Erica to incriminate herself and Jeffrey Epstein. The voice is undeniably Erica Kirk's. There's no mistaking it. And what she says on the call is absolutely damning. In the audio, Erica confirms that she is working directly with Jeffrey Epstein. The informant asks about getting paid, and Erica says it all out. She says, the more you do, the more you get paid. Then she reveals her specific role. She is the one making and scheduling for the young girl. But the most horrifying part is when the informant says, I can bring my sister too, so you can get paid more money for her also. Erica's response, yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I'm working tomorrow, and me and him are going to put a schedule together for you and your sister. Let that sink in. Erica Kirk was not just an associate. She was a scheduler, a procurer. She was getting a commission or a kickback for providing young girls to Epstein's child sex trafficking ring. This is direct, listen to this. This is direct, undeniable proof from the Department of Justice's own evidence locker that links Erica Kirk to the core of Epstein's criminal enterprise. This is a huge story. This is the confirmation we've been waiting for. The DOJ had this evidence all along. Now, again, I'm going to capitalize on this part right here. This is a huge story. This is the confirmation we've been waiting for, because in their back channels, that's what they're all asking. This is what they're all pushing Candace on. When are we going to get the smoking gun so we can put everybody to rest? They literally thought that this was it. The DOJ had this file. Why wasn't this headline on every news channel in the world? Share this everywhere. They can't hide this anymore. Tag Real Candace Owens and retweet. This needs to be front page news everywhere. Now, I started getting blown up by all the Candace simps. I told you. And the first thing I told them all, check the source. No, I said, it's not Erica. Verify it. It'll take you less than 5 minutes. Grab the source. Have you even done that? So which brings us to, that's how it started. This is how it ended. Project Constitution. Correction. Remember smoking gun, undeniable proof, irrefutable. Correction. I would like to issue a correction regarding my previous post where I claimed the audio featured Erica Kirk. Upon further verification, the individual in the recording is actually Haley Robinson, as detailed in the Palm Beach Police Department's probable cause affidavit related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Here you can find the documents that prove this. I apologize for the misinformation and any confusion this may have caused. Accuracy is important, and I'm committed to upholding it in future posts. Thank you for understanding. Well, hold on. This post has over 11 million views. 11 million views. He could have did correction with the screenshot of this post. That way it doesn't show all that defaming information that he put out there. but he didn't. He quote posted it. This post is still there. He hasn't taken it down. A fabricated defamation, false allegation of the most horrific allegation you can make against a person, but he didn't want to take it down because it's money, folks. These are the grifters. And all those people that were sending me this link, guess how many of them sent me a follow-up link saying, hey, Alpha, you're right, we're wrong. Anybody want to guess that number in the live chat? I think most of you will probably get it right? So I'm not going to offer a prize to the winner. But if you guessed 0, you're absolutely right. But again, they're just asking questions, right? Was that just asking questions? Because from the world that I come from with 14 years in law enforcement, because that's the problem with all these morons like Ian and Project and Diligent, that they're self-proclaimed investigators and they don't know shit about investigating. They don't even know what proper evidence is. And that kind of dangerous shit leads to this. What if one of these crazy people would have seen that story and said, you know what? If the FBI and Trump ain't going to do something about it, I'm going to. And goes and takes that to the next level. That's exactly what Candace knows can happen from this. She is not stupid, folks. Shout out 0 Hour 1. Lord help the people that fall in the sights of 0 Hour. He puts, look at this fat fuck going after Erica. Slob cake eating bitch. And who is that? Well, that, ladies and gentlemen, is your Project Constitution. Remember the movie Spaceballs? Somebody dropped the link. Somebody dropped the link because once you see it, you can't unsee it. But all I see there is Spaceballs. Let's keep going on because we want to finish on time. Candace Owens. So again, the people. Candace Owens had this post out and people that were simping for her were still arguing with me. You can't prove that it's fake, Alpha. Let me go to your leader, Candace Owens. The audio going around is not Erica Kirk. It was sent to me many times over the last month and my team was able to debunk it, which is why we did not include it in our series. Erica's verified connection to Epstein's orbit is via Faith Kate's Next Model Management and the model apartments on the Upper East Side. He created this monster. But again, we are going to dive into this conversation because there's something here that a lot of people missed. I didn't. So let me read this for you. Want to know what's really going on here? Let me break it down. And this is regarding Candace Owens' statement right there, just so you guys see it. Candace knows the grift is running out of road, and she likely sees lawsuits and serious legal exposure on the horizon from TPUSA and Erica. So she needs an exit strategy. What does someone like that do? She uses the same gullible followers, sorry folks, but that's what you are, who have been carrying water for her this entire time, knowing full well many of them will grab the bait and run with it. And they did. She built this audience. She knows exactly how emotionally reactive and extreme parts of it can be. And if her own claim is true that this audio has been sent to her multiple times over the last few weeks, and her team had already reviewed it and debunked it, then the obvious question is, why didn't she come out earlier and clearly warn her audience? Why didn't she say, this is false, don't spread it, it'll hurt our movement? Because in my opinion, this was never about protecting her audience. This was about protecting herself. This gives her future argument. Later, when the legal pressure hits, she can point back and say, look, when something false came to me, I acknowledged it and said it wasn't true. She'll use that to posture as responsible, objective, and uninvolved, as if she wasn't feeding the broader machine the entire time. But again, by her own telling, this had been circulating to her for a while. Her team had supposedly already looked at it, already debunked it, and still she said nothing to the loyal followers who predictably spread it, defended it, and then take the hit for her. That silence was not accidental, it was useful. And the saddest part is her cult-like followers still don't see it. They were used, they were disposable, and many of them still think that they are fighting for her when in reality, they were just positioned to absorb the blow. Watching it all collapse in real time is something to behold. Let's continue. Ryan Matta, this guy, I'll tell you, many years ago, had him on the show several times, was really, really a fan of the work that he did to expose the child trafficking. But hindsight's always 20/20. What we realize now is this guy is so fucking evil. He's such a piece of shit that he used our love for the kids. He used our love to save the kids, to protect the kids, to use it to develop leverage, rapport, and infiltration into the movement so that when he deployed this, people would believe him. Just like Candace, just like Tucker. President Trump, the White House puts out President Trump's talking about what's going on with Hormuz and the Iran conflict. And you guys read it right. Ryan Matta puts, I hope they blow your ships out of the water. Two things. Your ships. He didn't say, I hope they blow our ships, because he's an American, right? Allegedly. He didn't say, I hope they blow our ships out of the water. He distanced himself from it. He said, I hope they blow your ships out of the water. We're talking about American sailors, folks, and Marines, because Marines are on those ships. This guy that so many of you have been praising says that he hopes that Iran and the terror proxies kill your soldiers. I dare one of you to try to defend that to me. That wasn't enough. Matta comes out then and says Trump will not serve out the remainder of his term. Y'all can decide what you think that means. His closest allies, Lindsey Graham and Israel First Losers, are almost done with him. It won't be long now before our intelligence agencies destroy Trump's legacy for all of eternity. This is a long clip. I'm not going to like it. You're not going to like it, but I want you guys to hear it because I want you guys to know exactly who these people are.
So you got to give it up to our intelligence agencies. I mean, they played Trump hook, line, and seeker. Now, just when they convinced Trump somehow by surrounding him with a bunch of neocon Israel First Losers, they convinced this man to go and attack Iran. There couldn't have been a decision that would make you more hated by the people that voted for you and got you elected than starting a war, considering you're the president who ran on no new wars. Now gas is on the verge of being at $5. Iran is telling the government, telling President Trump, that he can pound fucking sand, and that the only way that we are coming to a deal or there's going to be any negotiations whatsoever is when you have a full unconditional surrender by Israel. Not Iran, Israel. Every radar system at every military base in the fucking Middle East, billion-dollar systems in every country have been wiped out. Our military bases have been struck in every single fucking country. That means that we're also putting casualties in these other countries. These other countries that are supposed to be allied to the U.S., and the reason that their people put up with our shit is because we're supposed to protect them. They're getting blown up and we ain't protecting them because our missiles are out. We've burnt through all of our first generation best tech attempting to destroy Iran. We've barely made a dent. We're running out of weapons, and Iran hasn't even used their 1980s stockpile worth of shit yet. So we've fucked around and we found out. Now the entire country and our intelligence agencies are going to turn on Trump, okay? So Trump needs to be the bad guy. Trump needed to get us into this war, but it'll be everybody else's problem. Oh, we can't bring him out yet. We can't withdraw yet. Trust me. The cat and mouse games of this war turning into a never-ending war are almost guaranteed, to the point where they're talking about using tactical nukes at this point. And if we use a tactical nuke, Russia and China should hit America's mainland. These psychopath, homicidal maniacs should be removed from fucking power by any means necessary. And if it comes to us getting attacked on U.S. soil, to fucking send a clear, concise message that this shit is over and it ends right fucking now, then it ends right fucking now. And somebody's going to have to do it. So where does this mean? What does this mean for the U.S. dollar? The only thing I can keep thinking to myself is that is the final nail in the coffin. When they want complete chaos and destruction of the West, you remove and destroy every institutional authority and all respect and all trust in the mainstream media, which has been done. We no longer trust any institution. We no longer trust our intelligence agencies. We no longer trust the law enforcement agencies here in our country. So when everybody's on literally, you got like a powder keg, you collapse the U.S. dollar. And watch, riots already start. They already have these organizations where they can pull 20, 30, 50, 100,000. The DOJ is not going to prosecute the people organizing the protest. And within a 2-year period, you took Trump from having the entire country had his back, and he could have fucking gutted these intelligence agencies. Instead, they played with him hook, line, and sinker. They ran circles around him. They got his dumbass to go and install every Fox News anchor in his administration. So the same intelligence agencies that control the media and are the fake news media got Trump to believe that they actually cared about him when every single Fox News host is on record, on their show, on their network, just bashing and just berating Trump. And yet he installed these people into his fucking administration. And now they've convinced him to go to war with Iraq or Iran, which would be ounce for ounce the dumbest fucking thing that you could possibly do. If you wanted to completely destroy all faith and all trust that your base had in you, you would start a war, you would cover up for pedophiles, you would not mass deportate the people that you told us you were going to mass deportate, you would allow intelligence agencies to run circles around you, and you'd staff your entire administration with a bunch of dual citizen Israelis. Did I fucking miss anything? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Check this clip out from NBC News. Gas prices ain't coming down anytime soon, folks, and Trump's begging for a fucking ceasefire with Iran.
Now, House Republicans are huddling in Florida to plot their
Trust me. Trust me. I get you how you feel. And yes, I am aware that this pussy ran away from America and is hiding out in El Salvador. And that's right, hiding out. Because that's what he is. Fucking midget. Here's the thing, folks. When you hear people using his rhetoric to support their arguments, now you know how stupid these people are. And unfortunately, some of you in the chat probably like him. I wonder if you still do. Have you ever seen someone speak with such glee about having Americans killed? This guy is talking about Russia and China should attack the American mainland and smiling and happy about that. As painful as it was for me to listen to that again, I need you guys to recognize that's the enemy. That's the fake American. It would not surprise me if he's Muslim. Would not surprise me at all. If he's some jihadi extremist, it would not surprise me. Especially when you look at the way he's started to change his grooming standards. Let's just say that. So, and in case anybody wants to get spicy, hey, midget Mara, I'm in Southern California. I'd say that shit to your face. So if you got the balls to come back to the United States, let's have a conversation. Let's carry on. He puts, rumors are that there have been over 1,000 critically wounded or dead, and the U.S. military is covering it up. One, you can't cover up thousands of deaths in today's technology. Two, that deployment itself would get recognized. But this is the propaganda that they want to push. Like I said, Matta, Owens, Jake Shills, Nick Fuentes, all of them. MTG, Massey. Some of you are still struggling with the Massey one, but don't worry, we're going to cover that. Let's move on to this next midget. Nick Fuentes, I want Iran to win and the United States to lose. Hear it yourself. Actually, I will say, he doesn't say it in those words, so they shouldn't have put that in quotes, but he does articulate that message. So I do want to be very clear about that. So let's play it so you actually hear what Nick actually says.
So I'm rooting for Iran to survive. I'm rooting for Trump to walk away. I'm rooting for deterrence to be reestablished. This is not a war, ironically, that we want to win. This is maybe a war that it's better if we lose. Better if we have a strategic defeat.
So, again, that's an improper quote of him, but I think you all got the message on that. And yes, I agree with everybody in the chat. Big Gouda, thumbs up. Yeah, whatever platform you're watching, thumbs up. We're bringing this to the final stretch, folks. So thank you for hanging in there with me. Right Angle News Network puts breaking: U.S.-based TikToker Ethan Levins is under fire for giving Iran coordinates to strike U.S. Patriot defense systems in Israel. You can disagree with Israel all you want, but anyone willing to help an enemy strike American targets based in another country is a traitor. And again, I'm about America, but when you have someone go out there and provide coordinates to a terrorist, you kind of committed a crime. Now, shout out Elon. Elon actually took down his account. I think I have that right here. Yeah, Brandon Schrock reports this. X suspends an account after coordinates of Israeli military and nuclear locations were posted. The platform moved quickly after the post spread. Here's the thing. These people are used to thinking that there's no consequences. And they are. They just don't understand that there's patience when it comes to this. There's people, now there's influencers, folks, on social media that are starting to get phone calls and knocks. And that word's getting around, and people are starting to realize, oh shit, they said they reported me a few months ago and nothing happened. I thought I was in the clear. That's just because you don't know how investigations are done. You don't know how networks are mapped out. A bunch of people are going to be in a whole lot of trouble. And I'm there for it. Right Angle News puts breaking footage of Muslim Groyper Sneeko has surfaced, showing him advocating for political violence to dismantle white oppression during the 2020 BLM riots. In case you were wondering why some of the right have started sounding like the leftists they always were, listen, there's a lot of people they'll go and promote clowns like this, not paying attention to the things that they have said. So here, you take a listen yourself.
What up, man? At this point, it's just too late to say that we can't be violent and that the protesting has to be completely peaceful. Because even when Kaepernick was kneeling, you were saying, or white people were saying, that it's too far, that this is the incorrect way to protest. I think that this radical protesting, if we're gonna steal, if we're gonna loot, if we're gonna burn stuff, if we're gonna commit crimes, it should be political. There should be an objective in mind. This whole system should be shut down. That systematic white oppression is so strong that it needs to be dismantled from the ground up. Hit them where it hurts. If you're gonna be violent, hit them where it hurts.
So I want to be very clear for this show that's airing on other platforms. I do not condone or advocate for any violence, but this is showing commentary from a subject who did. Folks, listen, there are people that I like that are promoting this dude. And I'm telling you, it's definitely impacting my level of confidence in some of these people. It's like you got to do better vetting. A lot of ops that are taking place. Again, sticking with this clown, let's play this clip.
Okay. When Jeffrey Epstein died, who replaced him? And then you ask yourself, okay, who is Jared Kushner? And why is he involved in Ukrainian peace negotiations? Why is he an envoy to Israel on behalf of Trump? And why is he participating in the Iranian peace negotiations? Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are envoys who went to Ukraine to negotiate with Putin to end the war. They met with Zelensky to end the war. They are very close with Netanyahu. And then they represented Trump in peace negotiations with the Iranians. Who are these people? Right? Jared Kushner is a replacement for Jeffrey Epstein. And that all makes sense if you think about it that way. And so what are these guys trying to do? They're trying to fulfill eschatology. They're trying to position world events in a certain way that would accelerate the collapse of the world, which is what Jeffrey Epstein did. Remember, we only have at most 50% of his emails. It's possibly, it could be 2% of his emails. We know nothing about.
It's funny when they say we know nothing about. Why don't any of these people, including Massey, call for the arrest or investigation into Bill Clinton? Who there's photos out of him. No, just Trump. Does that sound like they're trying to protect victims? Or does that sound like an agenda? I'm just saying. Then it moves us into this next group. Yal Jacoby puts, while Charlie Kirk was alive, Ian Carroll nonstop attacked him. Now that Charlie is dead, Ian is harassing Charlie's widow. And guys like Ian and Diligent, who were bragging about trashing on Charlie Kirk, now act as the defenders of the investigation to his assassination. Again, when they think that you can go and One of the most retarded videos I saw of Diligent was when him and a partner went out to the crime scene a few days afterwards with black light. Like, we found blood. It's like that. Just these fucking people don't know anything about investigations. For those that don't know, in the movies you find blood with black lights. In real life, you don't. You actually need an agent that you put there, and it's fast. Like, you only have, depending on how much of it is and what agent you're using, from a few seconds to a minute. You highlighted something, but it wasn't blood. But they go there, and again, the gullible audience goes and posts it. These guys don't know shit about investigations. But let's take a listen to this.
Did you see Charlie Kirk's a poll that he put out like the day it all started? Charlie Kirk, who could not have an opinion before we found out if it was going to be popular with his audience or not, because clearly, like, his buddies want him to say one thing, but like his young conservative audience might not dig it. So he puts out a poll: should America get involved in the war with Iran? And it came back with about 500,000 votes as 90% no.
Yeah, nobody.
Now, why does this matter? Because this guy came out and then started gaslighting everybody, because this is one of the guys that was pushing Fat Boy Project Constitution. That's the smoking gun. Erica Kirk procuring children for Epstein. This clown was pushing it. And he got called out on it. And when he gets called out on it, here it is. He deleted it. But we all got it. Internet's forever, baby. Here's his position. Holy shit. This sure sounds like Erica scheduling girls for Epstein. And it's in the FBI wiretap. So that should mean they knew. It's so on the nose, it's hard to believe. Going to be wild to watch this play out. And so then people started calling him out. Bro, this shit's fake, you retard. And then he said that he's getting attacked. So here's my response, and then I'll show you that, because I do have that post for you. Well, I put a lot of retards fell for this, and a lot of operatives pushed it. Many of those retards will still support and defend the operatives. Smart, real Americans know better. Again, congrats to all you smart people who weren't like the clowns. You survived another psyop. Fake investigators playing detective on social media is hilarious. Meme, therefore I am. Freaking woman's awesome. She says, breaking: major content creator Ian Carroll, who has millions of followers across social media, is under fire after backpedaling on a now deleted post featuring an audio clip in which he insinuated that Erica Kirk was scheduling girls for Epstein. He deleted the inflammatory post after Candace Owens debunked the audio, and he conducted his own investigation. Carroll also said that it's perfectly acceptable to share opinions online, and that Charlie's widow would be fine, adding that he doesn't do it. It wasn't a fucking opinion. The smoking gun, irrefutable evidence. Remember the words I kept repeating? And then he quote posted it. He didn't quote post and tell his audience, hey, this is this guy's opinion. We don't know if it's true yet. This still needs to be researched. Let's look into it. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I read to you what he posted. It's the same shit that this clown and Candace did last year when they came after RFK. RFK, the man that is trying to make our food healthy for not just us, our kids. The man that's going after the pharma industry. The man that's trying to remove the vaccine requirements for kids in school. Ian Carroll and Candace, if you guys remember last year, because I didn't forget, came out and said, we've been shown evidence and we're going to show it to everybody. RFK's compromised. There's leverage against them on this affair. We're over a year later, still waiting. But you guys want to come out and say that these people are citizen journalists. When I say you people, I'm not talking about you in the audience, although there are a couple of retards I'm sure that are watching right now. This is who they're talking about. This is the gaslighting. Uncensored AI comes out and says, the coordinated fake outrage against Ian Carroll means they want you to stop looking into the relationship between Erica Kirk and Epstein. Are you fucking serious? Pardon my language. And then Ian Carroll comes out and says, bingo. So the fact that he attacked a widow whose husband was assassinated on national television is trying to carry the weight of her husband's work to prevent that vacuum from being infiltrated, which we're getting there because I'm going to explain to you guys what I think is going on here. And people call him out because he then goes and promotes and supports Project Constitution, saying that this same widow who watched her husband get assassinated less than a year ago is procuring kids for Jeffrey Epstein, and then people come at him for it. He's the fucking victim. Listen, folks. At this point, if you want to continue to follow these people, you probably shouldn't follow me because there's going to be a lot more content like this. And I'm going to say you're retarded because, I mean, you are. I'm not in this for the audience. I'm in this to help this country win. And I can do that with 100 of you watching, or I can do that with 1 million of you watching. But I want real Americans and real patriots around the world as my audience. I want people... I want to know that my audience is the type of audience that has a backbone, that when you're in the presence of these clowns, that you're going to call them out, that you're not afraid. I want my audience to be the one that's going to come out and be like, hey, I see what you posted. Can you provide me the link to that, the source, so I can go make sure it's true? And when they don't, call them out on it. And when they do and you research it, you tell them you got it wrong. Like I want an audience that's in this to fight this evil. That's what I want. Because this shit right here is unacceptable. And I truly hope Erica sues the shit out of these people. And given the language that Project Constitution used on his quote unquote correction, sounds like he probably got a phone call. And I hope it's more than that. Let's keep going. Maze Moore puts out 2022 at MTG's urging, Massey does his Trump impression and recalls when Trump threatened him for being a grandstander. After listening to this interview, it seems that they definitely didn't think that Trump would ever be back in the White House. I don't know. You guys decide for yourself.
Back to Thomas's story.
How much of this do you want me to tell?
It's up to you.
Oh my gosh. I had President Trump yelling at me.
Oh my. It was in March of 2020. It was the shutdown. No one knew what COVID was going to do. Everyone was freaking out. They didn't know what the outcome was going to be. So President Trump was pushing through. Thomas Massey was trying to say, no, we have to do this correctly. We still have a constitution. It has not gone away. And I'm proud of him. I totally support him for what he did.
So he said he would, on the phone, he told me he was going to come at me like I'd never seen, never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you.
Trump, that's awesome.
Yeah, he said, I'm coming at you like you've never seen, never in your life before have you seen the way in which I will come at you. And then he said that I was I didn't know what that meant, but before I got back to my seat, I found out. He said I was a third-rate grandstander.
On Twitter.
He tweeted about you.
On Twitter, yeah.
And you're in trouble when that happens.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And that I should be thrown out of the GOP. And the press wanted to know what I had to say for myself. That my own president had called me a third-rate grandstander. And I looked at him. I said, I was offended. I'm at least second-rate.
They were probably shocked when Trump won in 2024. Some people were probably saying, ruh-roh. All right, let's fly through this, folks. It's already been late. We are about to hit that 3-hour mark in 45 seconds. We're half hour past. Thank you guys for staying with me. I'm liking doing these early shows too. Derek Evans says, Justin, Senator Marco Rubio's State Department cuts the fee to renounce U.S. citizenship from $2,300 to just over $400. Y'all don't like this country? It is now cheap. Get the fork out. Let's fly through this stuff. Now let's get into my boy Barry Cunningham. I know there's some Barry Cunningham audience. If you're from Barry Cunningham's audience and you're in the chat, let us know. Y'all got to go support Barry. I absolutely love Barry, man. He's solid. He puts, deservingly so, the mainstream media is caught in the treasonous web of their own deception. President Trump is coming for them. I'm just going to read this first part of it. Iran has long been known as the master of media manipulation and public relations. Their military ineffective and weak, but they are really good at feeding the very appreciative fake news, media, false information. Now AI has become another disinformation weapon that Iran uses quite well, considering that they are being annihilated by the day. And why do I want to share that and fly through this? Because this is going to bring us into this conversation right here on Lindau TV. This is a 5-minute one, so I'm going to play it. That way I can get into, we're getting to the Smith Money is where we're going, folks. But I want you guys to listen to this.
Operation Mockingbird is still alive and well. And the CIA specifically is behind a lot of these psyops. They penetrated a lot of Christian and patriotic organizations. So you're going to see this stuff going out there that's planted either by CIA-created bots, or they are masters. They've virtually taken over Silicon Valley. And, of course, we know what they did with Twitter. We know what they did with Facebook. So they're seeding a lot of this information out there in these platforms that look legitimate. And some of these MAGA influencers I don't think they realize where this stuff is coming from. They have been penetrated up to the highest levels. As I mentioned, the MAGA movement, Turning Point USA, and others have been targeted.
It's been very disappointing to watch, honestly, Kevin, to watch a real grassroots movement get co-opted. But we kind of also knew it would be a matter of time, right? Because the deep state, this shadow government, as you noted, and I love that term, I actually use that a lot too, could not let free speech and a true movement continue to proliferate, because it has been very detrimental to them, right? At least people have woken up. Even if we haven't completely fought our way out of tyranny, people have woken up. Another operation, if you will, that I've noticed is an operation to push the occult. It's in everything. If I turn on a TV for my children, I have to be very careful what they're watching, because even in shows that you used to think, like kids shows that you used to think were fine, the occult is popping up everywhere. Yes. And though I know as a Christian we're in spiritual warfare, right? It's obviously also a targeted operation, is it not?
Yes, it is. And it is increasing in large volume. And of course, it's all over the Epstein files, to the point where it's chilling. And we know that, at least in my research and all the documents and files that I've read, Epstein was a CIA access agent and also a Mossad access agent. The CIA has been involved in deep occult things going all the way back to the men who stared goats, MK Ultra, and other things. They have an entire behavioral science program, and you can see right here in front of you a version of brainwashing, mind control through these events like this in Paris, affecting people to draw them over into this dark movement. It is satanic. This is spiritual warfare that we're seeing right in front of our eyes. And people that aren't critically thinking just sit back and soak it in and just accept it and don't realize how deadly, how evil and dangerous this sort of thing is.
I want to bring it all together because it all is part of the large picture, is that we thought also, and your book is about transparency, we thought we'd get more transparency on the surveillance state. Yes, we thought that finally when President Trump got in, because we knew we were under mass surveillance under the Biden regime, we know we have been prior to that, even during the first Trump term, as they were also surveilling the president and his staff. And before that, his campaign. But people are concerned about an executive order he signed last week, a presidential memorandum that seems to kind of mimic the Patriot Act. Some people are calling it the Patriot Act 2.0. And it doesn't seem like the surveillance state is decreasing. Rather, it seems to be growing larger. I'm hoping you can tell me I'm wrong, and the people who are saying that. Where are we in regards to scaling back the surveillance state?
Well, it's kind of heartbreaking. When this administration came in, I was hoping that we'd start to see some real reform, specifically of the CIA. And we haven't. We've actually seen it increasing. And the operation into Venezuela was a CIA operation. Even the pretexts were not true that were used to go in there. So the CIA is still operating. And we have to understand, the CIA is not just a federal agency. It's a global juggernaut and essentially a secret empire that is massive. And its tentacles are all through our government, our Congress, our news media, Wall Street, global banks, Silicon Valley, social media, and now with the CIA-created Palantir, they are literally surveilling all of us, our medical records, and even digital transactions in Wall Street. So it is expanding exponentially. And now with the administration moving to artificial intelligence in every agency and the new digital directorate of digital innovation with the CIA, it is expanding rapidly. So I hate to say it, but it's not going to stay the same. It's going to get worse. And I also have to add that because of the size of the CIA and its reach and its power, and it goes down levels that Congress can't even see, the president can't even see, and sometimes the DCI, him or herself, don't even know about, that this is such a massive organization that without public outrage, it will be impossible to reform it. It is controlling our elected government and has been for decades.
So, don't completely agree with the complete perspective that Ship has with regards to it, but he's also not wrong on that surveillance state. Surveillance state in the hands of the wrong people will absolutely be exploited. We all saw that happen to us under the Biden's administration. However, that is a weapon in the hands of the good people. And we have laws in place to protect us, the Fourth Amendment, right? And we are seeing these illegals and these military adversaries that were brought into our country through an immigration, aka deployment. That Palantir software is how they're finding them, folks. So there's a separate argument to be made. And yes, there is breaking news surrounding a statement Trump made, and I'll cover that after this. I don't want to break this conversation. It's not time sensitive. But I will cover it here in a few minutes. We're almost done, folks. FCC warns broadcasters over fake news. The agency issued formal notices to over 47 stations across 12 states this week. License renewals could be at risk to repeat offenders. Turns out there are actual consequences to making stuff up. Source News Force. Now, what does all this bring us into the conversation of? You're going to see one of the final things that happens is the repealing of the Smith Modernization Act. So for those that wonder, how come the media lies to us? How come the Mockingbird media gets away with it? It's because they legally can. And the fact that the FCC is sending out these notices tells me, amongst other information that I have that I'm not going to share on this broadcast, that the right people are aware now of the Smith Modernization Act and that we're going to start seeing the moves against it. And that's why we're here at this point. So just real quick, just to recap on it, it's very long. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I am going to grab this link and I will put it down in the comment sections for those of you that want to read it. But just to give you an overview, I'm going to skim through this. Is the U.S. government quietly shaping your opinions? The hidden power of the Smith Modernization Act. And somebody said to zoom in. So let me zoom in on this for you guys. Oh, a little too much right there. There we go. In recent years, there has been growing concern over whether the U.S. government is quietly shaping narratives that influence not only foreign audiences, but also U.S. citizens. At the heart of this debate is H.R. 5736, Smith Modernization Act of 2012, Obama years. This law is an update to the original United States Information and Education Exchange Act of 1948, was designed to adapt public diplomacy to the realities of the digital age. But as media landscapes evolve, many worry that the Modernization Act may be exploited to influence Americans in ways the law has never intended to allow, present day. The original Smith-Mundt Act strictly prohibited, so not the modernization one, but the original Smith-Mundt Act, prohibited government-produced propaganda content from being distributed within the U.S. to prevent U.S. of domestic propaganda. So we were doing this around the world in other nations, but it was against the law for the government by proxy or direct to have that information, that propaganda fall in front of the American people. However, the Modernization Act was lifted those restrictions, allowing the content meant for foreign audiences to be made available to Americans through platforms like Twitter, now X, Facebook, YouTube, and other media outlets. As a result, there is a rapidly growing concern that while intended for foreign diplomacy, government-created media could find its way into American homes, subtly shaping opinions, beliefs, or even votes. So what is the Smith Modernization Act? The original Act of 48 was crafted to allow the U.S. government to disseminate information to foreign nations as part of its public diplomacy efforts. However, it strictly prohibited that content from being broadcast within the U.S. The concern was to prevent government-sponsored messaging from influencing American citizens. In 2012, under Obama, the Smith Modernization Act changed this by allowing foreign targeted content to be available domestically removing a long-standing wall. So essentially the argument that was made is because of the evolution of technology, the internet, all this, that if we didn't do this, the Modernization Act, we weren't going to be able to do these quote unquote diplomacy efforts against other nations, because the way the internet is and our access to it, Americans would find it anyways. So they created this gray area that removed that section and completely allowed it to happen before the American people. One of the less discussed aspects of the Modernization Act is that it allows the government to legally target foreign nationals living in the U.S. Since these individuals are considered a foreign audience, the government can disseminate information to them using domestic platforms like radio, television, and social media. Now, like I said, it's a long one. I'll provide the link in the comments. So anybody, including those watching on the replay, if you want to grab it, it'll be the pinned comment on this show or the second comment. The question I always had with this was President Trump knows what this is. So why not remove it? And I'm telling you, folks, I have game theoried this into exhaustion to try to figure out why. And no matter how many times I game theoried this out, there's only one logical reason I could come up with why Trump wouldn't remove it. And it's because he was going to use it too during the first administration. This brings us into the boards, right? And Q and other things. When Trump has Congress finally repeal this and either remove it in whole or remove that portion of it, that's when you're going to see the narrative completely change, because our voices are not going to be overwhelmed by mainstream media, because mainstream media is not going to be able to lie. And that's why I think we're starting to see this slow transition from CNN and MSNBC that are out here reporting the truth on some things. And everybody's like, what's going on? I think they're doing the subtle transition so that maybe the Smith-Mundt Act thing is repealed, but it's repealed in the dark hours where no one's paying attention to it. And everybody just thinks, oh, the media just finally found their way and they're truthful again. However, people like me will put it in the spotlight because it's that important. So with that, let's go to the breaking news and then we'll close up the show, folks. Let me pull us out of here. Click on it again. So about an hour ago, Trump put this on Truth Social. Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East, has violently lashed out at a major facility known as South Pars gas field in Iran. A relatively small section of the whole has been hit. The United States knew nothing about this particular attack, and the country of Qatar was in no way, shape, or form involved with it, nor did it have any idea that it was going to happen. Now, this is important because the reports were coming out that Israel did this earlier today. If you know when it happened, that Israel did this with the authorization of the U.S. This is Trump coming out right now saying we did not have nothing to do with it, nor did we authorize it or know about it. Let's continue. Unfortunately, Iran did not know this or any of the pertinent facts pertaining to the South Park attack, and unjustifiably and unfairly attacked a portion of Qatar's LNG gas facility. No more attacks will be made by Israel, all caps, pertaining to this extremely important and valuable South Pars field unless Iran unwisely decides to attack a very important, in the case of Qatar, in which instance the United States of America, with or without the help or consent of Israel, will massively blow up the entirety of the South Pars gas field and the amount of strength and power that Iran has never seen or witnessed before. I do not want to authorize this level of violence and destruction because the long-term implications that it will have on the future of Iran. But if Qatar's LNG is being attacked, I will not hesitate to do so. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. We will definitely cover this ad nauseum at tomorrow night on Overwatch and The Guardian. That's at 11 p.m. Eastern. You can watch that right here on the AlphaWarrior Show. But here's what I'll say, which we're going to expand on tomorrow. I hinted at this at the beginning of the show without using this example. But I remember I said there's certain attacks that are happening that I don't think that they're Iran and someone else is happening. Folks, what you're seeing here is the strategic, what people like to make fun of, 4D and 5E chess. That's what you're witnessing. Israel's government, not the Israeli people. Remember, folks, you got to learn to separate governments from people. The Israeli people are just as much victims to propaganda as the American people and everybody else on every continent that exists on this country. And I see someone saying the Dan Scavino's tweet. We will cover that stuff tomorrow, folks. I promise. I want to keep this show very specific for the replay that others, when they come to watch it. But there's a way of exposing the globalists, the deep state apparatus, the Israeli government, Mossad, the IDF, the CIA, MI6, Slovak, the CCP, all these intelligence agencies. And this is a huge move in that direction. We told the Panicans that this would happen and that Trump would take this position. We told the people that were attacking MAGA, saying, you guys are cultists to Trump. I said, no, we're not. We will end this comment with saving Israel for last, with the understanding that from someone who's planned operations, I would never tell you who the last is. So I'll say saving Israel for last, but I'll put the asterisks that I personally think second to the last. And as this all unfolds, we'll see. With that, I'll fire through these because it's late. This is just our Secretary of Defense. You know what? I'll show this one because this one's 26 seconds. We've seen them shitting on our military. We saw Ryan Mata out there saying that he hopes that the Iran and China and Russia kill our Americans. Let's take a listen to these two clips real quick of our Secretary of War and then Dan Raisin-Kane, and then we'll finish with our final words and the Rumble Rants and Super Chats.
In parts of the party, particularly from your fellow Fox News alum Tucker Carlson, he called the war disgusting and evil, and then said of unconditional surrender, which the president has called for, means foreign troops get to rape your wives and daughters. Have you heard these comments, and what's your reaction to them?
We're busy executing on behalf of great patriotic Americans with a clear mission that's 47 years overdue, and we're going to execute on that regardless of what people say about it. Yeah, right here.
And let's listen to this one.
Because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard, it's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump, because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented them isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful. How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, I don't know, fly a plane for 36 hours? Has MSNBC done that story? Has Fox? Have we done the story how hard that is? Have we done it 2 or 3 times so that American people understand? How about how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35? Or what it's like to man a Patriot battery? Or how hard it is to refuel midair? Giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was. There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that because of the hatred of this press corps are undermined because your people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad. And what's really happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders who accomplished their mission, set back a nuclear program in ways that other presidents would have dreamed. How about we celebrate that? How about we talk about how special America is, that only we have these capabilities? I think it's too much to ask, unfortunately, for the fake news. So we're used to that. But we also have an opportunity to stand at the podium and read the truth of what's really happening. And the reality is you want to call it destroyed, you want to call it defeated, you want to call it obliterated, choose your word. This was an historically successful attack, and we should celebrate it as Americans. And it gives us a chance to have peace, chance to have a deal, and an opportunity to prevent a nuclear Iran, which is something President Trump talked about for 20 years.
and one final one from Raisin King.
Before I start with an update, I also want to address the tragic loss of our KC-135 refueling aircraft yesterday. The incident occurred over friendly territory in western Iraq while the crew was on a combat mission, and again was not the result, as CENTCOM has said, was not the result of hostile or friendly fire. We're still treating this as an active rescue and recovery operation. As CENTCOM announced this morning, 4 airmen have been recovered, and the Air Force and U.S. Central Command will provide updates as information becomes available. Please keep these brave airmen, their families, friends, and units in your thoughts in the coming hours and days. Our service members make an incredible sacrifice to go forward and do the things that the nation asks of them. It's a reminder of the true cost of the dedication and commitment of the Joint Force.
You know, the last part of the show, I showed you guys, I don't even want to use the word men, like Project Constitution, Ryan Matta, Ian Carroll, and there's so many others. Jake Shills, right? Nick Fuentes, Dan Bazilian. Those aren't men. Those are cowards. Those are people that lack courage, lack fortitude, don't know anything about honor and loyalty. And the last 2 men that we heard from right there, those are men. Those are warriors. Those are leaders. Those are the guys that are making the plans and the decisions for our young men and women who are patriots. So just understand, we spent a lot of time exposing these shills and these ops. But all that time we spent, they don't stand a fucking chance against the men that we closed the show out with our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, with General Kane. They don't stand a chance, especially when those men have men like me behind them, and so many of you in the chat. I know there's a lot of hardcore veterans there as well. We're not going to end up closing out with the Bongino clip. I'll save that for another show because I want to spend more time talking about that. So what we'll do here is I'm going to do the last ad. We're going to get into the Rumble rants. And then I actually have a video that's special to me that I want to share with you guys. If you guys saw DEFCON, you know which one's going to play, but it's a song I wrote. And given how much of the tumultuous stuff we had to cover tonight, I want to send us out some good energy. So I hope you guys indeed like that song. But with that, let's do a Rumble ad. Let me take that off the screen and go full screen with me. So this way you guys can screenshot that QR code. Again, you got to be on Rumble to see that QR code on the screen. AI is coming for your job. That may sound extreme, but the CEOs and scientists building artificial intelligence are warning the AI will transform and replace large parts of today's workforce faster than most people are prepared for. If you want to understand what's happening and how to prepare, visit drivegrowthhq.com and see what AI leaders say is coming next. Delivered free by email. Again, free by email. That's drivegrowthhq.com. A free analysis from Drive Growth HQ examines what AI researchers, economists, and CEOs are saying about the future of work and the growing risk of labor disruption. The reports explain how AI is already reshaping industries, why experts and CEOs of major companies believe job displacement will accelerate in the coming months, and what individuals and businesses should understand and do right now. You can read the full free report. Yes, folks, free report at drivegrowthhq.com, because your job may be next. The real question isn't whether AI will change work. It's whether you're prepared when it does. And again, that's drivegrowthhq.com. That link will be down in the description if you're watching the replay. And we did have some Rumble rants that came here at the end. So we had $5 that came in from Rocket Savvy 96. My newest Substack just published. Read it to learn about your glycolex, if I said that correctly. It is the key to cardiovascular health. And there is the link. So I will grab the link to Rocket's Substack and let me post that in the chats for you guys real quick. Again, if you guys want to promote your stuff, I don't have issues with that. We should all be helping each other out, right? Just don't abuse it. All right. I don't want the live chat is something you guys enjoy, and I don't want like every third thing to be a link. So, police each other, right? If someone throws a link, wait a little while before you drop yours. But I'm all about that. And then another $50, man. You guys rock. $50 coming in from ST Spears. Another great show, Alpha. Thank you for that. Let me see. No super chaps on YouTube. Okay, I wanted to make sure we didn't miss you guys. So you guys do me a solid. If you enjoyed the show, the content was free. If you're watching on Rumble, there's a little button down there that says subscribe in the live chat. You can help support this show for $5 a month or more if you want. If you're watching over there on the X platforms, you can subscribe, $3 a month. Patreon, I think that's around $15, $20 a month. However you guys want to help keep me in this fight, I definitely appreciate it. And if you're someone that's like, I don't want to subscribe, no harm, no foul. The show is still going to be free. But you can go down in the description and support the sponsors, affiliates, and partnerships that I have. Parallel economy, right? Want to give your money back to the big box stores and the globalists, or you want to help the people that help keep this show running? I appreciate that. And then again, quick prayer, since it is Just Alpha, and that's how we do business on Just Alpha. Father, thank you for another day of life. Thank you for taking a lot of the pain in my sciatic nerve away. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be 100%. Ask that you watch over my two little girls, especially my Allie. She's been having some bad dreams, Father, and ask that you bring her little mind some peace. Father, for all the children that are out there, I ask that you bring them peace. For people that are dealing with pains and aches and illness, somebody that got bad news today, Father, I ask that you hear their prayers. And if it's someone that doesn't know you, Father, I ask that you put people in their pathway so that they can find you. Father, there's a lot going on in the world, a lot of stuff that's been hidden from us, a lot of stuff that's been manipulated. And Father, one of the biggest struggles we have as humanity is what's the truth. And the one thing that we do know is the truth is that you exist and that you created us. Help us to parse through the lies of the devil and evil to help continue in our path towards finding salvation with you. And we pray and we ask all this in your son, Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you guys who pushed through 3.5 hours. We're going to work on it, folks. I promise, especially if we start doing 2 shows now. I said we're going to finish with a song. I want to make sure we're not forgetting anything. We got everything covered. All right, you guys. Remember, tomorrow is Thursday, right? It is Thursday. At 10 a.m. Eastern, you'll catch me on Badlands Daily with my brother CanCon over there on Badlands channel. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern, you will catch me on Sit Rep with them. And then after a short break, after Sit Rep, so I can eat, you'll catch me and Josh on Overwatch and The Guardian at 11 p.m. Eastern. And then if there wasn't already a lot of shows, there's a surprise show coming in the future. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's going to be a more fun show. So with that, here's my song. It's still untitled, but I hope you guys enjoy it anyways. God bless. Simplify.
I see that flag in the sunrise, flying high above the land. I think about the soldiers who never made it back again. Boots in foreign deserts, crosses in the rain. Freedom ain't a gift, son, it's written in their names. Hear the echo of their footsteps, hear the prayers of mothers prayed. Every star upon that banner is a price that someone paid. We built this country on faith and sacrifice, on the blood of the brave who laid down their lives. From the soldiers on the front lines to the towns back home, from the veterans standing to the truth online. Digital soldiers holding the line. We built this country on faith, patriotism and sacrifice. We built this country on MAGA. From the farmers and the truckers to the ones who wear the badge, from the miners and the teachers to the boys who raise that flag. Every freedom that we're breathing came from someone standing tall. When America was threatened, they were ready for the call. Hear the thunder of the people, hear the freedom in their cry. We won't bow to the darkness while old glory still flies. We built this country on faith and sacrifice, on the tears of the families and the brave who paid the price. If the day ever comes when freedom's on the line, every patriot standing side by side, every voice rising for the red, white, and blue. We built this country on faith, patriotism, and sacrifice. We built this